J.B. Hams for voiceover and editing. Presents. The book, Adi Jedden. By author, Hussam Bashayereh. Like autumn leaves, in every leaf, there is a story, and in every story, there is hope.
Dedication. To those who find solace in words, and to those who hide between the lines of emotions and feelings. To those who sense the importance of every whisper that expresses the heart, and seek an echo for their thoughts and dreams, I offer these reflections as a companion on life's journey. To those who appreciate the beauty of small moments and the depth of human experiences, I hope you find in these pages something that reflects a part of your experiences and emotions, and grants you moments of contemplation and inspiration. To you, to me, and to all who wander through books searching for themselves.
To my father. The tenderness of a father. How beautiful is that person who arrives unexpectedly in the evening, wipes away a tear, and grants hope. He calls with a gentle voice, never reproaching, never dwelling on unseen stumbles. His hands are open, his palms warm, he nurtures with kindness and embraces with the lightness of a soul. His eyes bring healing, his words are a remedy, and his contentment is fulfillment. He charts our day's path and shapes the destiny of our tomorrow. My father. A figure, if ever repeated, would be reflected in the eyes of my son and daughter. A figure, if his features grow old, has aged in the pursuit of my happiness and my brother's. A figure, if his voice fades, would bring sorrow to my mother and sister. A figure, if he departs, would be mourned by me, my son, my daughter, my mother, my brother, and my sister.
I let myself express freely, revisiting moments and experiences that have shaped my inner self. I share with you the whispers of my heart in moments of reflection and contemplation. These are pages written by autumn winds, leaves carrying the wisdom of time and the fragrance of memories. These thoughts were penned between the autumns of 2023 and 2024. The reason behind naming them Adi Jedden is that, as humans, we are exposed to all of life's situations. The space between these two autumns, without exaggeration, was the most challenging period of my life, marked by pain, suffering, and patience. It felt like a journey on foot between autumn and summer, where circumstances inspired many topics and led me to elaborate on others. As they say, from the womb of suffering, creativity is born. I hope that within the pages of this book, you find glimpses of hope, a touch of creative storytelling, and topics that may resonate with your emotions in certain moments and situations. With regards, Hussam Bashayereh. Introduction. Like autumn leaves that fall gently, carrying with them the memories of summer and the promises of spring, these reflections capture fleeting moments of life, contrasting emotions and passing experiences, yet leaving an imprint deep within the soul. With every fallen leaf, a story unfolds. With every autumn breeze, a feeling drifts through us, leaving behind an echo that lingers in our hearts. But when the heart speaks, it opens like an old book, weaving bridges of words and beginning a unique tale, one that starts like a soft melody, flowing from the depths of the soul, harmonizing with the rhythm of life. When the heart opens, every beat speaks its own language, painting an artistic portrait of life's details. It tells stories of strength and whispers of shyness. Each page, written in the ink of longing and passion, narrates the history of emotions and sentiments, weaving the bonds of love and relationships where the heart speaks its truth. When the heart opens, it reveals its depths without pretense, sketching a scene of sincerity and devotion. It recounts the experiences of love and separation in the language of profound feeling. In those moments, silence transforms into a language the soul understands, one not written in letters but expressed through an unspoken connection, radiating peace and love without uttering a single word. Adi Jedden is a journey into the world of reflections, where thoughts intertwine, and emotions intersect between joy and sorrow, hope and nostalgia. Just as leaves change color with every season, our hearts transform with time, and our visions and experiences evolve. Within the pages of this book, you will find yourselves moving between happiness and sadness, hope and despair, optimism and anxiety. It is a voyage into the depth of the human soul, where truth emerges and untold stories come to light. I hope you find in these reflections something that resonates with your emotions, or perhaps something that inspires you to contemplate the fleeting details of life, just as autumn leaves fall, gently and beautifully. Some journeys are not like those of Ibn Battuta, who traveled across countries, cities, and continents. Some of us embark on a different kind of journey, one within ourselves. We wander through the echoes of our days, revisiting what we have lived, what we have buried in our hearts, and the memories that have left but never truly vanished. Some of these memories bring regret, others gnaw at us with longing. There are places that no longer exist as they once did, and people who have left an indelible mark on us, marks of love, pain, and promises intertwined with disappointments. Life carries within it all shades of emotions and moments. It does not pause for anyone, nor does it break for anyone. It moves forward, even if left empty of everyone. Through my passion for writing, I found myself on an arduous yet exhilarating journey, searching for the right words. Like a traveler navigating the labyrinth of time and the torrent of life, I rested on the shoulders of fleeting moments, turning the pages of the Arabic language. I sought to elevate my steps like an explorer roaming the desert of existence without a map, carried by the winds to unforgettable harbors. Fate led me through mysterious passages where everything around me changed, and I became part of a maze, dark tunnels of uncertainty. In moments of writing, I live and breathe the stories of hours and days. My words stumble as they find their voice, telling a life story that is still unfolding. But I have begun the journey, walking through silent valleys and mountains of patience, gathering my experiences like precious stones, reflecting on every moment that passes. I climb the peaks of hardships with the passion of a seeker, and with each ascent, the story I write takes shape. Who am I? Where will I be? Sometimes, I find myself oscillating between past and present. Other times, I tread through the mud of reality, leaving footprints that mark the struggles of my search for the missing pieces of my existence. This journey, embodied in this book, has been a refinement of the soul, a strengthening of the spirit, like a resilient branch braving the winds of life. I leave behind traces in the sands of time. And on this path, I do not lose myself, I find it. Every fragment of my experience illuminates my way toward true discovery. This is the journey of self-exploration, one that began the moment I was born.
Chapter 1. My voice between the lines. Who am I and where am I?
The day I was born, I arrived in this world free of burdens. My heart was a blank page, untouched by experience or sorrow. Life welcomed me with my first cries, as if warning me of what lay ahead. It received me with a solemn silence, observing me like a newborn destined to grow, to fight its battles, to embrace its joys and sorrows. It was as if life, in that very first moment, was offering me an unspoken promise, a promise of change, of growth, of love, and perhaps of loss. Yet, it also granted me the opportunity to be, to live, to learn, and to leave my mark on a world that existed long before me and will continue long after I am gone. I first saw the light on October 6, 1982, and with my first touch of my mother's hand, I felt a love deeper than words. I did not know then what she felt. Was it the pain of childbirth or the overwhelming joy of meeting her firstborn? The first sensation I truly recognized in my infancy was that warm hand that soothed me through countless long nights. I would drift into sleep knowing I was in absolute safety, that no harm could reach me as long as I lay in her embrace. Her touch was not just a fleeting gesture, it was a lesson in love, one that assured me that there existed a love so profound, so unconditional, that it needed no explanation. Every wound in me seemed to heal with a single touch from her, as if her hands held a quiet magic, preparing me for the world. Her touch whispered gently, "I am here. Everything will be okay." My father was the first to hold me after my mother's womb and embrace. The first to recognize me. The first to promise me love, without needing to say a word. His arms became my first refuge, his warmth my first shelter. His gaze, filled with pride and awe, silently told me that I was a part of him, that my heartbeat had added a new kind of joy to his life, one he had never known before. I was his firstborn, the first time he was called Father. For him, it was an unforgettable day, a moment where love and fear intertwined, where the weight of responsibility met the euphoria of new beginnings. Though I was too young to comprehend, that moment marked the start of a bond that would last a lifetime, one of endless giving, unwavering protection, and unconditional love. That first year of my life was the foundation of everything that followed. It was the beginning of my relationship with this universe, a preview of the life that would unfold before me. It felt like a dream in the making, where every step was small but significant, every sound was a discovery, and every laugh was my earliest attempt at connecting with the world around me. I remember nothing of those days, yet I know I was surrounded by love and warmth, that every milestone, every smile, every movement, every tiny tooth, was met with celebration and anticipation. In my mother's embrace, I found peace. In my father's hands, I found security. Before I even learned to speak, I had already learned love and tenderness. They awaited my first steps eagerly, and as I stumbled forward, I began to understand that life itself is a series of attempts, sometimes confident, sometimes hesitant, but always supported by those who love us. We all begin life as children, playing without care, without restraint, spreading joy with our innocence and spontaneity. Our reactions were sources of laughter to those older and wiser, for we knew nothing of malice, nothing of resentment. We were oblivious to the complexities that lay beyond childhood's gates. The only jealousy we understood was the jealousy over an embrace, the longing for a kiss. Even then, we sensed the importance of fairness, not in possessions, but in love. At the age of 5, I ran freely, seeking happiness in a spontaneous laugh or a simple game. My world was small, yet my dreams were vast. Everything around me was fascinating. I saw life through curious eyes, filled with colors, crafting imaginary worlds where nothing was impossible. We used to wonder, where does the moon go in the morning? We missed it on winter nights when it failed to appear. We feared the storms, the rain, the thunder's roar, and the lightning's flash. Everything starts with a small dream, a child gazing at the sky, searching for answers. Those were the first moments we felt different, as if something inside us longed to break free, to shout to the world, a child who just wanted to play. But every step forward came with its own set of challenges, the challenges of life itself. A dream is a beautiful thing to carry in one's heart, yet it often crashes against the walls of reality. Life does not pave the way for dreams, it builds obstacles before them. At 20, I had grown taller, my features had become more defined, taking on a character that would accompany me for a decade or more. I started to understand myself better. I realized that the world was much bigger than I had once thought and that dreams required effort to come true. My ambitions reached for the sky, and my steps toward the future quickened. Everyone around me wanted to be my friend, and I wanted the same. They drew inspiration from my ambition, my dreams, and the future I envisioned. I, too, drew inspiration from them. We dreamed together, not just for ourselves, but for one another. I learned from my experiences, found friends and places that resonated with me. The difficulties came unexpectedly, at unforeseen times, but I discovered that these very hardships shaped me. They made me stronger and forced me to think in new ways. As I grew, I began to ask myself, who am I? I found that I was a thought born from the silence, a question echoing through the corridors of memory. I am a journey through the features of time. My steps trace unknown paths in search of meaning. I am a pulse that oscillates between the heart and the mind, questioning the truth between what I want and what I am. I am a soul wandering between dreams and reality, seeking a moment of balance between hope and fear. I am an unfinished story, each day a new page, its words carrying both aspirations and heartbreaks, yet always moving forward, unsure of the destination. I found myself diving into the turbulent sea of life, searching for a harbor where my heart could anchor, for my voice amidst the overlapping echoes. Am I truly here, where I see myself? Or am I somewhere far away, searching unknowingly? I may lose my way. I may survive all disappointments. I may find myself like a traveler without an address, walking roads with unknown endings, searching for a destination that has yet to reveal itself. Amidst the crowd of days, I sometimes forget where I want to go, who should accompany me, and what I truly wish to achieve. I realize that my suitcase is filled with more questions than answers. I remain in a constant state of search, moving from one station to another, never settling for too long. I pass through different scenes, tasting the many flavors of life, but I refuse to confine myself to a single place or a rigid idea. I seek meaning beyond limits, a freedom unbound by constraints. Each step I take makes me realize that I might live without a clear goal, but I learn from every experience, every encounter, and every moment that crosses my path. In this journey, I do not need a specific destination to define me, I am a part of the journey itself. I live its details, savor its beauty, leaving traces wherever I pass, even if I never return. Perhaps I am lost, searching for a place or a purpose, yet I find myself incapable of remaining fixed at one point. The moments pass as if I am walking through a dream, leaving behind cryptic marks that reveal only my fleeting passage, just like the adolescent dreams that once left too soon. But I call upon them to leave me something of hope, to linger a little longer before they fade. Often, I find myself needing those youthful dreams, as a guide, as a friend, to remind me that optimism and passion are what make life worth living. I do not want to lose the bright colors that once painted the horizon of my youth. Instead, I wish to hold on to them as a source of inspiration, leading me forward through life's endless challenges. At 30, my voice grew more serious, and so did my demeanor. My circle of acquaintances expanded, friends, relatives, colleagues. I became more aware of life, met more people, and navigated through more interactions. I started weighing things with greater rationality. My dreams matured, becoming clearer. I realized that life is not a race but a journey that requires reflection and patience. I began to appreciate the small details and understand the value of resilience. At this stage, I learned to choose my battles wisely, laying strong foundations for the days ahead. Yet, I found myself in a present where thoughts intertwined, where emotions clashed between what I wanted and what must be. Where am I? Am I in a place I once loved and still do, or on a path I did not choose yet continue to walk? Am I within my dreams, which inhabit me, or in my reality, which I strive to shape? Or am I somewhere in between, where every step leads to a new place and every moment reveals a part of myself I had yet to discover? I may be here, or I may be there, but what is certain is that I am on a journey that never truly ends, a journey where I may find myself in places I never expected, understanding that, where am I, is not a question seeking a location, but a journey in search of meaning. Some of those I encountered in my 30s were like a gentle breeze soothing my weary soul. Beautiful in their spirits and actions, leaving an unforgettable imprint on my heart. They entered my life without noise, their presence radiating warmth and comfort. They made dark days brighter, with a kind word, a sincere smile, or a simple gesture carrying depth and care. But as life unfolds with its countless turns, dictated by fate's will, I find that some moments are marked as difficult. They pass by as if eternal, like the pain of loss, the ache of loneliness and distance, or the longing for someone absent. These pains carve maps onto my heart that time cannot erase. At times, I walk with weary steps, at others, I step back to gather the scattered pieces of my soul. Then, there are moments of beauty, fleeting yet precious. Moments stolen from time, perhaps warmth amidst a storm, a brief smile, a temporary sense of peace, the passing presence of a loved one, or a long-awaited glimmer of relief. These are gifts from the sky, etched into my memory, the only thing keeping hope alive, urging me forward. The end of my third decade felt like the farewell of summer, leaving behind memories imbued with warmth and hues of joy. It departed with its final breath, a gentle breeze embracing the evening quietly, preparing the earth for seasons more serene, less turbulent. With every sunset, summer bid me farewell piece by piece, whispering that beauty does not last forever, that seasons come and go just as dreams arrive and fade. Yet despite its departure, it remained within me, a warmth that never dims, a fleeting smile, a memory living in my details, echoing in every moment of longing, like a dream postponed until its return next year. The farewell of summer is like the farewell of every season, they pass as if they were chapters in a novel written by time. One leaves, another arrives, each carrying its own stories. In the departure of every season, I hear a faint goodbye, bearing with it moments of joy and sorrow, achievements and waiting. The passing of seasons is but a reminder that change is inevitable. Just as days shift between the cold of winter and the warmth of summer, so too does my heart. I learn and forget, I love and lose. But with every farewell, there is an arrival. Every ending is merely a transition to something else, waiting just beyond the horizon. So too are the emotions within me, departing quietly, without noise, without warning. And in that silence, I learn that every departure, no matter how painful, carries within it the promise of a new beginning. Emotions gradually fade, like leaves that quietly fall in autumn without us noticing the beginning of their departure. As if those feelings that once filled the heart with vitality and warmth have chosen to leave silently, leaving behind a void that is not easily filled. The departure of emotions is not always painful, often, it carries with it a sense of liberation from the weight of feelings that no longer suit us. Yet, it leaves behind soft traces, like the effect of a breeze on water, reminding us of how those emotions were once a part of us and how they have now become distant memories. With every departure of emotions, there is the beginning of others. The heart does not remain empty for long. It waits to beat again, even if in the form of a different feeling, calmer, deeper, and perhaps similar to the departure of hardships from my life. At 40, I carry the wisdom of the years that have passed. I have become more at peace with myself and with life. I no longer seek perfection but rather peace. I understand that every stage has its beauty and that every experience has added something new to me. At 40, I live in the moment. I celebrate who I am now and what I have become. Reaching 40 was not easy. Sometimes, I found myself in situations where I felt utterly alone, as if everything and everyone stood against me. At those times, I realized that resilience is not an option but the only way forward. I may fall, but rising again is what defines me. I have been through moments where I felt I had reached the end, yet I always found within myself that faint light guiding my way. My circle of acquaintances has shrunk, now limited to my family and those closest to me, with very few remaining from my old neighborhood and village. In my 40s, my companion from my 20s is no longer my friend. He may not remember me, for my features have aged and changed. My friend from my 30s knows little about me, and he may not even care if he sees me, for, like me, life has occupied him with its relentless demands. In every moment when darkness intensifies before me, I remind myself that life is but a journey and that every turn and every obstacle is merely part of that journey. Perhaps the storms I face today will make me stronger tomorrow, and maybe the sorrows that weigh down my heart today will grant me the ability to appreciate joy when it arrives. Life, with all its twists and turns, is ultimately a gift, and these gifts deserve to be cherished, even if they come wrapped in pain. Life changes, and so do I. But adapting is not always easy. Sometimes, I find myself facing something entirely new, something that requires me to become a different person. Change is not in appearance or location but within. I had to learn to accept myself as I am, with all my contradictions and the dreams that have yet to come true. There comes a moment in life when I realize that everything I have been through had meaning. Every tear, every pain, every loss was a piece of the larger story I am living. Success is not about reaching a destination but about the journey itself, about every moment that taught me something new about myself and about life. At an advanced stage of my life, I was fully convinced that life would never be easy. I will face challenges and situations where everything seems impossible. But time has taught me that true strength comes from within. Therefore, I will not surrender, nor will I lose hope, because every experience, no matter how difficult, adds new strength to me and shapes me into a better person. We do not grow up easily. We do not mature without struggles, without experiences, or without battles. We grow up when we learn that life is not as we once saw it in childhood. When we realize that beauty is not just in what our eyes see but in what our hearts feel. We grow up when we understand that success is not measured by the number of achievements but by our ability to rise after falling and to smile despite the pain. We grow up when we comprehend that love is not mere words spoken but actions seen and that silence, at times, speaks louder than 1,000 words. We grow up when we recognize that security does not come from others but emerges from within us. We grow up when we become calmer amid chaos, stronger in the face of hardships, and wiser in confronting the days ahead. We grow up when we understand that life is not a race but a journey that requires patience, and when we believe that hope is a light that never fades, no matter how deep the darkness. I have always treated both the young and the old with respect. I appreciate that kind words and giving each person I meet enough space to express themselves, share their ambitions, and reveal some of the dreams they hope to achieve is something beautiful. For some, words can be a motivation to move forward toward everything they aspire to in life. These words cost me nothing, yet they increase my humanity, both in my own eyes and in the hearts of those around me. Some words spoken carelessly may become deep wounds in another's heart, and a simple glance that seems insignificant to me could be a source of strength or weakness for someone else. Perhaps the person I see as ordinary carries great dreams and hopes, possesses wisdom or patience that I may not find in others, and may have emotions purer than I ever imagined. Some words are not just words, they come in the form of energy, additional strength, and renewed hope. They are not merely passing remarks but rather a driving force, reminding me that whatever I am going through or feeling will eventually pass and become nothing more than a memory, no matter how harsh it may seem. Maybe I am anxious about the future, waiting for the recovery of a loved one, or longing for the return of someone lost. Words from certain people come as healing in moments of distress or anticipation. They carry the purity of letters in their hearts. They know well when to come and how to speak. They understand that kind words do not diminish their value but rather enhance their beauty in my heart and adorn their presence in my soul. They are the kind-hearted ones who give the beauty of their spirits unconditionally, without expectations or appointments. They remind me of my father. As the days pass, I realize that the value of humanity and inner peace is unmatched. It fills me with happiness and reassures me that I am doing well. These are not words spoken hastily but rather a deep feeling that arises from within me. At times, I may believe that I know everyone well and that I can measure their worth based on their appearance or outward behavior. But the truth is that every person carries within them pages filled with stories and experiences, of which I may only see a small glimpse. And perhaps, one day, I may find myself in need of someone I once underestimated. So, let me be kind and compassionate to all, for life turns, days change, and I do not know when I might find myself in the place of someone I once overlooked.
Despite all the difficult times I may go through, I still carry within my heart a light that never fades. I am fine because I believe in my ability to change if I ever see myself as a flawed person. I believe in the power of new beginnings and in the opportunities each day brings. I draw my strength from moments of simplicity and serenity, and I find happiness in the small things that give my life meaning. I am fine, and I can be even better because I surround myself with sincere hope that pushes me forward when my steps falter. Because I learn from every experience, growing wiser and stronger. Because I choose to be this way, I choose hope, I choose joy, and I choose life with all its beauty and hardships. Whenever I feel that life is closing in on me, throwing me into the unknown, or losing its flavor, I find myself returning in memory to those moments that overflowed with life. I search for the joy that once filled my heart and for the passion that used to wake me up every morning. Sometimes, I feel that I have lost my way, other times, I feel that I have stopped at a crossroads with no direction. But I know that seeking light in the midst of darkness is the first step toward healing, and realizing the absence of meaning is the first step toward finding it again. Perhaps my happiness lies in those little details I have overlooked, in the smiles I have ignored, and in the moments of quiet I have failed to appreciate. But I will keep searching, dreaming, and waiting until life regains the essence I once knew. The happiest souls are those who have never harmed anyone, who move through life lightly and peacefully, carrying no grudges in their hearts, only a purity that resembles the sky after the rain. They know that true strength lies in kindness and compassion. They do not compare themselves to others but choose love over hatred, forgiveness over resentment, and mercy over cruelty. They do not burden themselves with the weight of mistakes or offenses, instead, they find joy in the simplest things, a genuine smile, a kind word, an outstretched hand. They rejoice in seeing happiness in the eyes of those around them. They live wisely, knowing that every action they take will return to them in some way, so they always choose to be a source of goodness and blessing. In many defining moments, I sometimes see myself as weak, lost in the midst of events. But at other times, I see the light shining in my eyes, and I realize that I am not just a spectator, I am a dreamer, a doer, and an achiever. I expect a lot, I reflect, and I dream, but not everything I anticipate comes true. Sometimes, my expectations surprise me with what I never imagined, leaving me feeling disappointed or anxious. But often, the unexpected events are the ones that shape my path the most, leading me to discover new things and giving me a chance to reorganize my life. Those who truly understand me do not need reminders that between words spoken without intent and meanings left unspoken, much love can be lost. They know how to understand me and when. They never pretend to be strangers to me because they grasp not only what I say, but also what I express in silence. Bad habits are like invisible walls, trapping us behind them as they slowly take away pieces of who we are. They are like thorns embedded deep within us, we see them as part of ourselves, despite the pain they cause. Every bad habit carries within it a false promise, a fleeting pleasure followed by hours of regret, or a temporary comfort overshadowed by frustration. I do not want to be contradictory, not out of fear of people's judgment or criticism, nor because of the labels that might brand me as inconsistent or two-faced. Rather, I refuse to live in a state where my personality has multiple faces, where my opinions shift unpredictably. I want to be me as I am, with one face, steadfast in the face of everything.
Contradiction bothers me because it tears something within me apart, placing me between conflicting positions and words that do not align. I do not want to say something today and contradict it tomorrow. I want my actions to reflect what is inside me, to be honest with myself before being honest with those around me. To remain steadfast in my opinions and decisions, not to please others, but to satisfy myself and preserve the purity of my conscience. I express my reproach silently and calmly at times when I do not dare to voice it aloud. The most beautiful kind of reproach is the one that carries no words, translates into no language, and requires no letters. As if in silence, there lie 1,000 stories and 1,000 emotions, reproach that holds everything without saying anything. It is a silent dialogue between eyes that speak without uttering a word and a heart that overflows with emotions without explicitly expressing them. It is a reproach spoken in the absence of presence, passing between the lines and the heartbeats, teaching us that sometimes silence is more truthful than any spoken words. My worries differ from those of many who do not know the pain I carry. They speak of their concerns, discussing details that may seem simple and superficial to me, while my depths drown in things they know nothing about. Perhaps it is because they come not to listen to me, but to make themselves heard. Maybe they have not made room for my emotions to pass through the barriers of their self-interest. They are close in times of sorrow, yet in their moments of joy, they do not come nor confide. Perhaps they believe that sorrow does not invite envy, but it may consume them in every moment of happiness they speak of. I have learned never to compare my beginning to someone else's season of harvest because I understand that each of us has our own path and our own timing. We do not plant the seeds of our dreams in the same soil, nor do we water them with the same rain. Some dreams need bright sunlight to grow, while others thrive in the shadows of the night and its stillness. I believe that the fruits I reap today are merely a reflection of what I planted yesterday, with patience and faith, even if my steps seem slow or my efforts' results remain unseen. Life has taught me that success is not a race against others, but rather a journey with myself. Every step I take, no matter how small, brings me closer to my own harvest. The road to the season I await may be long, but when it arrives, it will be abundant, painted with the colors of my own victories, the ones I built with my own hands and heart. Therefore, I do not rush the fruits of life, nor do I compare myself to those who came before me, because I am certain that each of us has a time and a season to shine in their own light. I do not like postponing today's work until tomorrow if I can complete it today. Tomorrow may come burdened with the unexpected. Procrastination is nothing but an added weight on my shoulders, one that may accumulate until it becomes unbearable. That is why I prefer to be present today, to race against time, and to seize opportunities. The more I accomplish today, the more space I leave for tomorrow, to welcome the new without stress or pressure. I distance myself from those whose words of the night are erased by the daylight, for they neither move forward nor backward. They live in a closed loop, their promises dissolving with the first ray of sun, and laziness dictating their steps. They do not dare to take a single step forward in their lives, fearing change and preferring to remain where they are. These people will not push me forward but will try to keep me stuck with them, waiting for things to change on their own. They postpone everything until later, only to find that later still waits for them, perhaps even abandoning them altogether. When we reach a significant level of awareness, we must strip away all the thoughts that weigh us down. We shed them like old clothes that no longer fit us. We free ourselves from every belief that has shackled us, from every idea we once thought was an unchangeable truth, only to realize it was merely an illusion that held us captive. Sometimes, we must strip away our own convictions when we discover that what we believed in has betrayed us, that what we pursued was nothing but a mirage that faded the closer we got. How beautiful it is to stand before the mirror without masks, without barriers, facing ourselves with complete honesty. That confrontation is not a sign of weakness, it is a courage that reshapes who we are. It is the bravery of a new beginning, a blank page, free of constraints, upon which we can write a vision pure and untainted.
Some may betray every ounce of trust one gave them, but there must come a moment when I decide to protect what remains of my feelings. It's time to stop offering my heart on a silver platter to those who don't value it. I've been through bitter experiences where I learned patience and endurance, but in the end, what I gained was betrayal and pride from those I thought were my support in moments of weakness. Not everyone who appears close to me deserves my feelings. Some take my kindness as mockery, and turn sincerity into a tool to exploit me. Some may say that in taking risks there's a chance for hope, but is it worth risking other aspects of myself for a slim possibility? I won't allow pain to repeat itself, nor will I allow anyone to drain me again. True emotions are valuable, and they must be given cautiously. What remains of my feelings is too precious to be wasted in attempts that may only bring more hurt. I'm tired of the disappointments that came from those I gave excessive trust and love, only for them to respond with shock and betrayal. It was as if I was planting in barren land, which knows nothing of fertility, land that never felt the value of the water I gave it, and only bore thorns that wounded my hands. I thought that honesty would be enough to make their hearts mirrors reflecting the love and warmth I offered, but they were merely blank walls, hearing nothing and feeling nothing. They returned to me only echoes in the form of endless shocks. I believed they were like me, that if I gave them safety, they would preserve it, and if I offered them love, they would reciprocate it. But I discovered that they only carried love to the extent that it served their interests. The closer I got to them, the farther they became, and the more trust one gave them, the more they betrayed me. They treated me as an endless spring, coming to fill themselves and then leaving me dry, thirsty for even a drop of attention or appreciation. But those disappointments made me stronger and more cautious. I no longer give my trust easily, but I haven't lost my ability to love. I realized in the end that I am not weak, but strong because of my love and purity. Strong because despite all the shocks, I still believe that there are those who deserve a part of my heart. But this time, I will be more selective. My life will not stop at the things that disappointed me, life moves on, and does not look back. I will not stand before a door that has closed in my face, nor will I burden myself with what fate throws my way. The important thing is to rise, dust off my steps, and redraw the path anew. There are wounds in my heart, if they were revealed they would neither heal nor stop my bleeding. They would only satisfy the curiosity of those waiting for my downfall, those who wish to see me weaker than I am. These are the ones who stop the bleeding. And when they realize that I'm still bleeding, they will disappear as if they never were, even if they held a handkerchief to stop the wounds. I have learned that free spirits are not bound by the disappointments of others. Every betrayal is a lesson, a part of a journey that teaches strength and resilience. Those who have let me down have revealed sides of life I had never seen before. I do not belong to those who left me, nor am I trapped in the memories of those who betrayed my trust. Every disappointment is just a stop along the way, but it is not the destination. The destination is me, my dreams, my determination to be stronger than I was, and deeper than I ever imagined. Every time I chose others over myself, I lost a piece of who I was until one day, I woke up and realized I no longer recognized myself. It was as if I had become a stranger to my own soul. I could see my reflection in the mirror, but I could not recognize the spirit that once lived within me. I missed that spirit, the one that knew how to dream without fear, how to laugh from the heart, and how to love life with simplicity and without complications. A soul that I lost amid endless responsibilities and the constant attempts to please everyone and meet life's demands. I long for the version of myself that was filled with energy and passion, the one that found beauty in the simplest things and dreamed without restrictions. I wonder, where did that adventurous, fearless self go? Have I lost it forever, or is it merely hidden somewhere deep within, waiting for the right moment to return? I will search for it in every quiet moment, in every small space where I allow myself to be as I once was, free from pressures and expectations. I will reclaim it, because I need it now more than ever. I need the self I lost, so I can regain the life I love. Through countless experiences in my life, I have learned that my problems grow in proportion to the attention I give them, as if they were mirrors reflecting the magnitude of my anxiety. The more I focus on them, the larger they appear, until they consume my peace and inner calm. A problem may start small, like a mere pebble on the road, but when I make it the center of my thoughts and give it more importance than it deserves, it transforms into a mountain that feels impossible to climb. How many simple matters have taken up more time and energy than they deserved? Not because they were truly significant, but because I magnified them in my mind. In moments of anxiety, I lose the ability to see things as they truly are. Problems seem unsolvable, and minor details escalate into overwhelming obstacles. The truth is that excessive attention does not resolve a problem, it only feeds it, allowing it to grow into an obsession that follows me everywhere. I have learned that stopping the habit of overthinking my problems is half the solution, to look at them with a calm eye and place them in their rightful space without giving them control over my emotions and life. Not everything that bothers me deserves a significant portion of my thoughts. Life is full of small details, and if I allow each one to become a crisis, I will lose my ability to enjoy anything. The relief from worries and burdens may come unexpectedly, but when it does, it brings with it gentle emotions that restore peace to the soul, just like the return of autumn, with its cool whispers and fallen leaves on the sidewalks. Autumn comes back to remind us that life carries within it silent farewells and new beginnings. We feel its breezes brushing against our faces softly, as if they carry within their particles the memories of the summer that has passed and the dreams of the coming winter. Amidst the chaos of days and the randomness of time, I find myself searching for a quiet moment to speak to that younger version of me, the one who dreamed and aspired with innocence and spontaneity. I used to see myself taking ambitions as wings, building castles of dreams, without worrying about the obstacles or challenges that might stand in my way. Challenges have taught me not to rush in judging life or in criticizing myself. And although I used to treat life as one big game, I enjoyed every moment and learned from every experience without knowing the weight of responsibilities or the complexities of reality. Challenges have taught me not to let life's hardships be a source of despair, but rather to turn them into lessons in patience. They have taught me to never stop believing in myself and my abilities, even when times are tough or when my surroundings are discouraging. I always remind myself that I have the strength to overcome difficulties and a hope that fuels me to keep going. Because I began my journey with innocence and courage, I will continue carrying in my heart that version of myself, the one who looked at life with wide, wondering eyes. How often do we sail through life, carrying our dreams on sails of hope, drawing clear paths, and writing happy endings? But how difficult it is when the winds blow in unexpected directions, altering the course of our journey and scattering our plans. We find ourselves facing fierce waves, searching for safe shores amid whirlpools of confusion. We ask ourselves, why weren't the winds as gentle as we had hoped? But we forget that the journey itself, even if it does not go as planned, is what shapes our souls and teaches us that hope is not in the destination but in our ability to hold on to the helm, no matter how the winds shift. The sails remain witnesses to all we have been through, and the wind that did not take us where we wanted may carry us to places we never imagined, places where we might find a peace deeper than we ever dreamed of. Whenever life's storms rage and doors close before me, I stand at the edge of existence, watching the waves of time crash against the rocks of hope. Each wave carries a heavy load of memories, some tinged with the salt of tears, while others fade into the sea of forgetfulness. Between each wave, I feel an invisible force trying to strip away what remains of my dreams. It is that inner voice, that whisper that sneaks into the soul in moments of weakness, trying to convince me that the road is blocked, that all effort is in vain. But I hold tightly to the rope of patience, the delicate thread woven from strands of hope. I cling to it with all my strength, knowing that no matter how fierce the storm, it will eventually subside, and no matter how dark the sky, it will, in time, smile again. And just like October's return each year, autumn comes back with its cool whispers and fallen leaves on the sidewalks. It returns to remind us that life carries within it silent farewells and new beginnings. We feel its gentle breeze on our faces, as if it carries within it the memories of the summer that has passed and the dreams of the coming winter. Autumn is not just a season of farewell, it is a painting where life is colored with a blend of nostalgia and hope. The falling leaves write old stories on the ground, whispering to us that everything has an end, not an end to fear, but a beginning that precedes renewal. With every leaf that falls, new dreams are born within us, and with every breeze that blows, our souls are revived once more. The sails remain witnesses to all we have been through, and the wind that did not take us where we wanted may carry us to places we never imagined, places where we might find a peace deeper than we ever dreamed of. Whenever life's storms rage and doors close before me, I stand at the edge of existence, watching the waves of time crash against the rocks of hope. Each wave carries a heavy load of memories, some tinged with the salt of tears, while others fade into the sea of forgetfulness. Between each wave, I feel an invisible force trying to strip away what remains of my dreams. It is that inner voice, that whisper that sneaks into the soul in moments of weakness, trying to convince me that the road is blocked, that all effort is in vain. But I hold tightly to the rope of patience, the delicate thread woven from strands of hope. I cling to it with all my strength, knowing that no matter how fierce the storm, it will eventually subside, and no matter how dark the sky, it will, in time, smile again. And just like October's return each year, autumn comes back with its cool whispers and fallen leaves on the sidewalks. It returns to remind us that life carries within it silent farewells and new beginnings. We feel its gentle breeze on our faces, as if it carries within it the memories of the summer that has passed and the dreams of the coming winter. Autumn is not just a season of farewell, it is a painting where life is colored with a blend of nostalgia and hope. The falling leaves write old stories on the ground, whispering to us that everything has an end, not an end to fear, but a beginning that precedes renewal. With every leaf that falls, new dreams are born within us, and with every breeze that blows, our souls are revived once more. The renewal of souls grants us the chance to return to everything we once left behind, drawn by the warmth of memories. We return because some places we once lived in and later abandoned still carry whispers of the past, as if calling us back to relive moments that may have been lost in the chaos of time. And because hearts do not forget, the traces we left in others remain alive, pulsing with life. We return to rediscover ourselves, to taste the joy that once was and to touch the pain of parting that has passed. We return because we need to remember who we were and how we have changed. We return because there are people and places that have left an indelible mark on us, and because returning is the only way to tell our stories once again, with wider eyes and purer souls, free from the dark thoughts that once weighed heavy on our hearts.
Chapter 2. Life goes on, and the hair turns grey, ignited by time, confusion, and experiences.
Life rushes by without waiting, slipping away before I even feel it. It shifts between ease and hardship, moving as swiftly as a passing wind, carrying my moment with it before I have the chance to look back. It feels like I am caught in an endless race, where my days are swept away like autumn leaves falling to the ground, unaware of how much time has already passed. I walk the paths of life, trying to keep pace with time's hurried steps, but it never waits. It does not grant me a moment to catch my breath or reflect on what I have lived and what I have lost. Life inevitably moves forward, taking with it friends and loved ones, stealing them from my grasp as if they were never a part of my life. It turns the grand dreams I once painted into distant memories I fear forgetting. It plays the role of an uncompromising teacher, reminding me that everything is fleeting, and that time waits for no one. For so long, I believed I had plenty of time to chase my dreams, to live as I wished, to build a life that held all my desires. But time surprises me again and again, slipping away unnoticed, as days pass without pause and years fold away before I accomplish what I had planned. At times, I blame time for not granting me the chance to go back, for not allowing me the luxury of delay. But deep down, I know it is all part of this journey we call life, a journey filled with joy and sorrow, success and failure, love and loss. Together, these moments weave the story of our existence. Yet despite everything, dear time, I hold on to you. I know that with each new day, you open a door to a fresh opportunity. You teach me that the beauty of life is not measured by its length, but by the moments I live with sincerity, the moments that remain etched in my heart no matter how many years pass. The days of life race ahead, and I long for the moments that refuse to slow down. The days when simplicity filled my world and warmed my heart. When laughter was pure, and my eyes sparkled with joy, unafraid of tomorrow. The days when I met my loved ones without the need for appointments and parted without farewells, knowing that tomorrow held another meeting, free of worry, free of the burden of time. We long for those endless nights spent in conversation, weaving dreams, building castles in the sky, believing that everything was possible and that the world opened its arms for us. We miss the purity of hearts untouched by resentment, and the innocence that once colored everything around us. Time insists on teaching us that gray hair is not just strands of white upon our heads, it is a testament to the journeys we have taken and the lessons life has taught us. It is the dignity of time, bestowing upon us an aura of wisdom and contemplation. Every silver strand carries within it a story, a moment of joy or pain, a triumph or a disappointment. Grey hair is the signature that time leaves upon us, a mark we wear with pride, for it signifies that we have passed through countless stations in life. It is a testimony to the wisdom we have gathered over the years, a wisdom shaped by facing fate, embracing what is destined, and attaining a peace and depth that only experience can bring. Whenever time rushes past me before I achieve something or reach a goal, I find myself saying, "I've missed the train," as if life has stopped at a single station. But the truth is, the trains never stop coming. Each day carries within it a new journey waiting for me. And even if I have missed one, the horizon remains filled with other trains, each with unknown departures, each offering another chance. I pause for a moment to reflect on what has passed, and I find it to be an opportunity to see the path from a different perspective, to rearrange my bag once more and reconsider what I truly want to carry with me on my next journey. Sometimes, waiting is the best thing that can happen to me, for it grants me the chance to be more prepared and wiser in my choices. I will not let the phrase, "I missed the train," rob me of hope, for losing hope is like a darkness that engulfs the heart, a darkness that can take hold even when surrounded by light from every side. It is that feeling of being lost, even at the peak of life. It is the emptiness that stretches deep within the soul, drowning me in a silence no one else can hear. The darkness of certain days was not merely the absence of light around me, but the absence of understanding, the absence of inner peace, and the absence of the certainty that I know my path. It existed in vacant gazes despite the crowd around me, in long conversations that felt meaningless, and in a heart weighed down by hesitation, fear of the unknown, and longing for something I could not quite grasp. Darkness is those moments when I feel alone among people, when I do not see in their eyes a reflection of what I feel, or when I hide my pain behind a smile and pretend that everything is fine while the truth aches inside. It is in those times when I lack the strength to be honest with myself, when I fear facing what truly hurts me. Perhaps darkness is an invitation to reflect, to ask myself about the light I am missing within. Maybe the answer is not in seeking external light, but in lighting a small candle of hope and faith, in embracing what I feel without fear. Many nights, I stay awake over the ruins of a heart that has been broken. It is a state that overtakes me now and then, for many reasons. And since it has come, inevitably, I have decided never to give up. The same heart that beats with sorrow today was once strong yesterday. My heart was preparing to build a wall of dreams scattered here and there. I will gather what has been dispersed and construct a new bridge fortified with hope. I will abandon the boats that drift me into dark thoughts, for I must remind myself that a new dawn is inevitable. The night will not last forever, and morning will come to erase the pain of yesterday and put an end to every silent tear. Hardship may accompany me for a long time, as if I were sailing in an endless sea, tossed relentlessly by its waves. Weariness consumes me, and the burdens upon me grow heavier, weights that seem unbearable. But every time my eyes fall upon the verse, "Indeed, with hardship comes ease," I see a light piercing through my darkness, as if a cloud of mercy has descended upon my heart, filling it with a tranquility I never thought I would find. Indeed, with hardship comes ease is not just a verse I read, it is a renewed life within me, a key that unlocks the doors of relief. With every hardship that looms large before me, ease follows closely behind, a gentle breeze that revives my weary soul. Whenever my burdens become too heavy and worries pile up, it is enough for me to return to this divine truth: indeed, with hardship comes ease. And with that, a cloud of grace showers upon me, washing away everything that has weighed me down. Perhaps with the silence of dawn, showers of hope arrive, like gentle touches that refresh the soul and renew life. Every drop of rain that falls from the sky carries a quiet message, quenching the lands of hearts that have dried beneath the harsh sun of passing days. These showers resemble the pulse that awakens dreams from their slumber, the light that pierces through the clouds of despair and dissolves them. In every difficult moment, they come to remind us that there is always a new beginning and that within every ending, the seeds of a fresh start lie waiting. When the night is enveloped in darkness, and the feeling of being lost overwhelms me, the showers of hope become the glow that rises on the horizon of my soul, filling my heart with confidence and faith. They are the gentle touch that recolors the canvas of my life, reminding me that difficult times are merely stations on a long journey toward a brighter tomorrow. In every moment I forget myself. I find myself running after the smallest details, burdening my shoulders with countless worries. Then, I realize I need solitude, not to distance myself from people, but to draw closer to myself. Those moments when I hear the sound of silence are the ones that rearrange my thoughts and rejuvenate my spirit. Solitude is not an escape, it is the warrior's rest after an exhausting battle. It is a time for reflection, a moment to reconnect with what lies within me and with the universe around me. It allows me to see things more clearly, to restore the balance I have lost. I need solitude to rediscover who I truly am, away from the noise. Some people are changed by circumstances. Life takes them through unexpected turns, carving new meanings into their souls, reshaping their features. When the winds of experience blow upon them, they discover strengths they never knew they possessed, or perhaps, they lose emotions they once believed unshakable. Circumstances mold us into versions of ourselves we never anticipated. They make some people stronger and more mature, while others are pushed into corners they never imagined standing in. Some change their beliefs and principles under pressure, while others stand firm, like a tree that roots itself deeper into the earth despite the raging storms. But the truth remains, change is not always a bad thing. Sometimes, life brings us harsh lessons that refine us and open new horizons. At other times, it may distance us from ourselves, only for us to return with deeper wisdom and greater awareness. Often, I find myself caught in the whirlwind of thoughts, blaming those around me for my wounds, holding circumstances and fate responsible, forgetting that the greatest injustice I may face comes from within. When I wrong myself, when I make choices that I know will bring me distress, when I fail to protect my soul from the wounds of words and actions, I become my own oppressor. At times, I unintentionally hurt those I love, not out of malice, but due to a lack of awareness. And when I realize this, I see that the wounds I inflict on others are mere reflections of my own pain. I become like a mirror, reflecting the very suffering my own hands have created. And we did not wrong them, but they wronged themselves. These profound words remind me that I alone have the power to either correct my path or continue down a road of self-inflicted injustice. My life is not free from mistakes. Mistakes are a part of my journey and a part of who I am. With every misstep, I learn a new lesson, and with every stumble, I discover something about myself and the world around me. Mistakes are merely stations along the path of life, teaching us that perfection is not the goal, but rather progress and perseverance. I have come to realize that mistakes are not failures, they are bold attempts to seek the truth and the right path. My mistakes are moments in which I experience life in all its trials, where every slip holds wisdom, and every fall becomes a push toward something better. Throughout my life, I have learned to leave behind all the faded pages, those that carry nothing but dead memories and withered dreams. I will not let them hinder my path or burden me with a past that serves no purpose except as a lesson now closed within its pages. Faded pages are merely reflections of a time that has passed or an event that came and went. They may hold traces of sorrow and disappointment, but they do not deserve to pull me backward. Instead, I will turn every blank page into an opportunity to write a new story, to weave words that express my dreams and aspirations, and to renew my promise to myself. My life deserves to be lived with vitality and creativity, not with the sorrow of those who have left and their faded stories. I will leave those pages behind and start anew, where colors are vibrant and hopes are grand. I will let the past drift away in peace and move toward the future with confidence, knowing that it holds countless opportunities and experiences worth embracing with optimism. I refuse to be a prisoner of the past and its sorrows. Life cannot be lived in the shadows of memories that have faded. Every moment that passes carries with it either a burden or a joy, yet it remains part of a chapter that has now closed. I will not allow old wounds to weigh me down or prevent me from stepping forward. Sorrow is part of the experience, but it is not everything. The past carries lessons, but it should not become a prison in which I confine myself. I choose to break free from the chains of memories, to live the present with all it holds, and to face the future with eyes full of hope and optimism. I refuse to be captive to the pain I have endured, for they were merely stops along the way. The road ahead is still long, and there is so much more for me to learn. I will rise from the ashes and rebuild, for life is meant to be lived with courage and strength, far from the shadows of the past. I am not ashamed of criticism, for I know exactly who I am and what I carry in my heart and mind. Words of critique may be fleeting winds that try to shake me, but they hold no power to alter my course. I stand firm, unmoved by the pointing fingers of judgment. I am not defined by others' opinions, for I live to satisfy my conscience and achieve my goals, not to fit into the mold of their expectations or demands. They may try to change my vision or disrupt my rhythm, but I know that the path I have chosen is mine alone, and I know well how to walk it. That is why I have turned their criticism into fuel that propels me forward, rather than chains that hold me back.
I have wandered through countless books, searching for answers to many questions and situations. Some I found answers for, so I moved past them. But I stopped at those that had no answers. Why does a person betray the one who loved them sincerely and wiped away their tears with kindness? Why do they abandon the one who stood by them without mercy? Why do we only care about someone after they die, even though they lived among us and received none of that attention while they were alive? A person may die from pain, poverty, or hunger, yet when their funeral comes, people travel great distances, slaughter the fattest sheep, and prepare lavish feasts. We start searching for a picture to remember them by. They were here, they passed through this place. But while they lived, we never cared about their appearance, their talents, or their thoughts. We never even kept a recording of their voice. Why do we rush to raise money for a wealthy person who suddenly lost their fortune, while ignoring those who have been forced to live off garbage, theft, or fraud just to feed their families, despite our ability to help them too? We leave the poor abandoned and struggling, yet we support the rich so they remain standing. I don't know what to call this. Is it hypocrisy? Or is it fear that the poor or struggling might actually find a better life? I wonder why we neglect those with kind hearts, those who are always the first to show up in every situation. Not just physically present, but present with their emotions, their principles, and their loyalty to those around them. I wonder how we can leave a poor child crying over a holiday toy, a school trip, or a piece of candy, while we gift the wealthy the most expensive perfumes and invite them to extravagant feasts in the finest restaurants. We gently pat the shoulder of a rich man's child with care and kindness, yet we ignore the cries of a poor child whose pain could be silenced with just a fraction of what we spend on indulgences. Why do we side with a stranger without them even calling for us, while ignoring a relative or a sibling separated from us by nothing but a thin, crumbling wall? Why do we see the stranger as a dove of peace and the relative as a venomous scorpion? Why do we give the stranger a chance to express their dreams, yet mock the ambitions of our own kin? Why do some people change their path just to avoid passing by a relative? Why do we ignore messages from family yet eagerly respond to those from strangers? Is it fear of losing the stranger or fear of strengthening our bond with our own blood? Who planted these ideas in our minds that push us away from those closest to us? A relative may have their flaws, but they may also be the true support in times of hardship. Yet, the pain is immense when one sees their own kin treating a stranger with the highest respect while treating them with the worst behavior. Such moments can drive people away from their own relatives, even if they share the same blood and household. Why do we cling to those who belittle us and act superior? To those who turn away from our needs when we require them the most? Why do we see arrogance as a sign of importance, even when the person is empty on the inside? Why do we fight each other over success? Why do we try to hinder the progress of those around us, planting seeds of discouragement and confusion, turning them into lost, wandering souls? Why do some of us want our children to reach the highest ranks, to have the best education and fortune, yet wish for others' children to suffer misfortune, to have fewer opportunities, and to stumble at every path they take?
I am not arrogant towards anyone, but I cherish those places where I find tranquility and safety, places worthy of my steps, deserving of my presence. Not every space accommodates my soul. Many places lack the warmth of dreams and the echo of security that binds me to them. The corners that do not suit me are those where I feel alienated amidst their details, even if crowded with faces and words. Not every place is suitable for me, because I seek a home that embraces my personality and dreams as they are, without attempts to change or diminish them. I search for a place where my soul can breathe freely, where my thoughts can soar without restraints. I find myself reflected in such a place as I am, without embellishment or distortion, without masks or barriers. Therefore, I choose my place carefully, knowing that my place is not where everyone gathers, but where my soul belongs and thrives. Here is where I should be. I have learned from my pain to be more resilient in facing challenges and to deepen my understanding of myself and my life. In moments of pain, I discovered an endurance I hadn't realized I possessed, and that suffering can be a great teacher. My wounds taught me patience and how to benefit from every painful experience to become a better version of myself. I have learned that aches are not merely stations of weakness but also opportunities for renewal and growth. Through them, I have gained lessons in strength and determination, discovering that every pain carries within it the seeds of power and perseverance. My pain was my guide to my true self, to the person who can overcome hardships and uncover new aspects of life. Therefore, I have learned from my pain to be more steadfast and determined, and to see in every experience, no matter how harsh, an opportunity to learn and ascend.
Dear, when others speak ill of me in your presence, please do not inform me. I am indifferent to what they say, how they say it, why, or where. Such careless words are like leaves scattered by the wind. What intrigues me, however, is, why did they feel comfortable in your presence? What led them to believe that your ears would readily receive their words about me, and that you would be a silent witness or even a participant in their narrative? Conversations held in honest absence are more than mere words. They test our stances, our principles, and our loyalty to those who cannot defend themselves. Silence at such moments is a choice, and choices reveal much about honest character. Therefore, I choose to live beyond the tales spun by others, tales filled with falsehoods and slander that twist the truth into a mosaic of lies. I distance myself from stories that were never true, from narratives crafted by tongues tainted with deceit. I am weary of hearing fabricated tales that attempt to paint a picture that does not resemble me. I opt to live away from many people, away from the noise of lies and distortions, where silence speaks truer than their words, and reality is purer than the falsehoods of their stories. I will not allow them to shape me according to their whims, for the truth I live is greater and stronger than their slanders. I will be myself, in all my sincerity, leaving them behind, immersed in their illusions. I have been a listener to many, eagerly absorbing their stories, uncovering hidden feelings and lost dreams between their words. They speak, and I gather from their voices the rhythms of lives lived, the moments of joy that enveloped them, and the tears of sorrow concealed within their sentences. I listened when they spoke of love, separation, and pain, of unfulfilled wishes, of paths taken that led nowhere. He heard the echoes of their souls seeking refuge, their hearts awaiting warmth that may or may not come. In each tale, I felt a piece of me added to theirs. It pains me, the betrayal from those dearest and closest to me, from hearts I thought were safe havens, from those with whom I shared the minutiae of my life, who knew my strengths and vulnerabilities. He believed that closeness meant safety, and that love meant loyalty. Betrayal from loved ones is not just disappointment, it's an invisible internal fracture that leaves deep scars. It hurts because I gave them more than I possessed, entrusted them with my heart, and they, in turn, neglected it. Yet, with every pain comes a profound lesson. I have learned that I will be stronger, and that trust is not a gift given lightly but a precious responsibility bestowed only upon the deserving. Reflecting on all eBay endured, I realized that I alone am responsible for the choices eBay made. He selected my friends, my stances, and accepted the pain and disappointment that came with them. No one ever approached me and said, "I wish to betray you or I aim to break something in your heart." He ventured towards them, and I must bear the consequences, whether from kin or stranger. My memory may fail me at times, when truth seems elusive, hiding within the folds of time. He might forget names, events, and perhaps faces that once crossed my path. Yet, I never forget feelings. Emotions reside within me, accompanying me like a shadow that never departs, neither wilting nor fading. My memory may fail me when I search for the details of a day gone by, but my heart will never betray me when it recalls the warmth of a moment that was my entire world, the sound of a laughter now gone, or the eyes that once gazed at me with an unforgettable love. My memory may betray me in those moments when I search for a distant past whose details fade little by little. It may leave me alone before a sea of questions, lost between what was and what I think was. My memory may fail me when I try to recall the image of a face I loved, or the voice of a dear one that faded into the folds of time, but the impression they left and the love they planted deep inside me will never fail me. It remains eternal, present in every heartbeat, and in every hopeful moment that calls them back from the depths of forgetfulness. I am tired of small disputes, those that grow like seeds in the soil of our relationships. They grow unintentionally, feeding on moments of happiness. They appear like a passing summer cloud, leaving no trace, but stealing peace every time, and adding another stone to the wall of distance. Disputes that hold no weight in the balance of days, yet steal smiles and overshadow the warmth of hearts. I am tired of those details that I know aren't they worth it, but they intrude into our conversations, casting their shadow on everything beautiful. A simple word becomes a spark, and a fleeting thought turns into fuel for a meaningless quarrel. They repeat and grow in our minds until they lose their true value. I am stronger than to stumble over such trivialities, stronger than to dwell on every slip or passing word. Therefore, I will leave behind everything that clouds the clarity of my days and move towards what truly matters, sincere love, respect, and those beautiful moments worth living without blemish. Life is too short to spend chasing after small details, and we are greater than to let them dictate the course of our relationships. Let's reconsider. Let's pause for a moment and ask ourselves, does it all deserve this? When I grant someone my patience, I do not offer them something fleeting, but I give them a part of myself, my inner strength and my heart's steadfastness, because I believe what we share is worth the wait. Paciencia is neither an eternal gift nor an inherent right, it is a delicate thread held together by love and appreciation, weakened by neglect and indifference. It is trust that requires deep respect, making those around me realize they are facing a test with my very self, a rare opportunity for them to recognize my value in their life. Because when I decide to be given enough, I will not return. Words may be heavy on the tongue, and feelings drowned in their silence. How many emotions groan within us, searching for an outlet to flow through our speech, yet they stand at the doors of confusion and fear? In those moments when I wish to confess everything, the weight of words pulls me inward, where wounds hide behind the fog of silence. Not all emotions can be translated into words. Some are conveyed through a fleeting glance, a tear hidden behind eyelids, or a heartbeat that chokes between the ribs. Words may serve as a bridge, but sometimes, they carry only a shadow of what truly lies within us. There are feelings that cannot be spoken, only felt, and they remain trapped in the chest, circling within themselves in search of an escape. Yet, they stumble over the weight of silence and the fear of revealing too much. In those moments, I find words to be traitorous, incapable of holding the depth of what we truly feel. How can words translate the aching beats of a wounded heart? How can they convey the trembling of a soul unseen by the eyes? Emotions, with all their contradictions and fractures, are too vast to be measured in mere phrases, too deep to be confined within simple sentences. They exist between the lines, in unfinished glances, in the sighs of long nights, and in the moments of silence that carry within them 1,000 words and 1,000 unspoken sorrows. You may wait a long time before finding the courage to carry some of these heavy emotions and lay them on paper or utter them aloud, but a hidden fear always lingers, that words will never be enough. I fear that in the moment I finally confess, I will lose the strength my emotions give me when I keep them to myself. Yet, the desire to be free of them grows, even if revealing them is merely a way to lighten the weight that presses upon my heart. Many have defeated me after I entrusted them with my heart without hesitation. I placed my dreams in them with blind faith, believing that there was an unbreakable bond between us, one that no hardship could shake. But betrayal came from where I least expected it. The battle between us was never fair. I fought with love and sincerity, while they silently prepared my downfall. They defeated me, not with their strength, but with the betrayal of a trust one never imagined was fragile. They broke something inside me that I doubt will ever be easily repaired. My loss was not in losing them, it was in losing myself when I trusted them. Sometimes, I feel that the world is crowded. Everything around me feels crowded. Even my mind feels overwhelmed. Yes, overwhelmed, with thoughts, tangled ideas, and noise of different kinds. There is loud noise and silent noise, and the latter can be the most powerful kind of internal chaos. Despair born from helplessness. Helplessness born from a lack of means, or from doors eBay tried to open repeatedly, only to find that I do not have the right keys, though they are right in front of me. Yet, every key seems to hold an excuse to keep the door locked. Or perhaps, some things between me and that key have simply expired. Perhaps I was never meant to have that key. Or maybe, it is too rigid and unyielding to soften, even as it sees me growing cold and weary from standing at the door. Or maybe, I am just one among many waiting at the threshold of these doors. I used to accept all the harm that came my way from those around me, those who overlooked my character, my thoughts, my knowledge, and the purity I carried within. And in that acceptance, I found a part of my happiness. For a tree that bears fruit is always the one pelted with stones, while a barren tree finds people drawn to its shade for comfort from the sun, or its wood to keep them warm in winter. When I embrace what I have and celebrate the blessings God has given me, I discover that life becomes more joyful and peaceful. Contentment is not merely accepting things as they are, it is the art of living in harmony with what I have and appreciating every moment I experience. In contentment and gratitude, I found freedom from the chains of anxiety and comparison, a chance to savor life's details, and strength in facing challenges, turning hardships into opportunities. I forgive, pardon, and let go, not because I am oblivious to what has happened, but because I respect the distance that has grown between me and others. A distance created by time, and also destroyed by time. Thus, distance quietly becomes clearer than any distorted presence. I forgive because I know that hearts which rise above wounds are the hearts that understand the meaning of peace. I forgive because life is short and does not deserve to be burdened with regret. I pardon because I believe that forgiveness is a part of the strength of the soul. How beautiful are the responses that come at the right time, with sincerity and warmth, not those that come after the longing of the question has faded, or those that carry weak excuses that do not heal the wounds of waiting. Every time a response is delayed, a desire dies within us, and something within us is extinguished. Silence becomes the answer, and what comes after a long silence is heavy with regret or excuses, but it arrives when the care has already faded. After neglect, there is nothing but neglect, and all attempts to get closer and repair what was broken will not return what has passed. Some may try to return, grasping at threads of hope, seeking to draw near once more, searching for a glimpse of love or to recover the warmth that vanished. But I am certain that neglect plants deep cracks in hearts that do not heal easily.
Why have we changed? Why have our souls become strangers, no longer the ones we were born with? We no longer hold others accountable, miss anyone, or blame anyone. We have become distant,
as if we were created in a barren desert with no signs of life. Why did we change after we used to cherish the morning breeze and eagerly wait for evening conversations? Why did we change after we once believed in dreams as if they were reality, after we used to smile at the thought of tomorrow? We once embraced with longing, forgave easily, and lived each moment without complicated calculations. Now, we drift away when we most need closeness, hiding behind masks of indifference. Our emotions are tainted with caution, and joy is postponed until further notice. We now scrutinize our words, weigh our feelings, and fear loving or getting close, as if every step toward another person threatens a new heartbreak. We seek safety in distance, comfort in silence, as if every approach burdens us with a new weight, and every word carries behind it the fear of yet another disappointment. Why have we changed? We may act tough and exaggerate our resilience in many situations. We refuse to let ourselves or others sense regret for a certain moment, but in truth, we do regret, perhaps silently, without letting anyone know. We regret in secret, in the solitude of our own thoughts, yet a deep barrier within us prevents us from admitting it. In reality, we regret when we recognize the value of things only after losing them, when opportunities slip through our fingers like sand, leaving behind nothing but the longing to hold them once more. We regret when a question creeps into our depths: were we truly appreciative? Did we make the most of every moment? Regret may be a quiet voice reminding us of the importance of nurturing relationships and valuing time. We regret when we realize we missed the chance to say, "I love you," or "I care about you." Our hearts race with longing, teaching us that sometimes, words carry more weight than silence. Regret may be a natural companion on our journey, but we can transform it into a lesson, one that teaches us to cherish moments, give our hearts and souls their due time for reflection, and truly embrace life. Regret may be a window looking toward the past, but wisdom lies in using it to shape a future where change is meaningful.
Chapter 3. Each of us has his own style and personality. You and I are among them.
A fixed identity that does not change no matter how much time passes. Each of us has his unique approach to life, his way of dressing, choosing his food, and organizing his time as he wishes. So many of us prefer to stay isolated, without friends, often keeping interactions with peers, family members, and colleagues to a minimum. They are accustomed to a lifestyle that brings them comfort. They are not foolish, they find something in solitude that we may not see. So many of us prefer to stay connected with those around them, never wanting to be alone. Even in their work, they move from colleague to colleague, always ensuring they are not left alone. They latch onto anyone who will listen to them, not feeling the passage of time unless they sit alone with themselves. So many of us are quiet, or rather, they speak little. They don't talk much and often listen more than they speak. When they do speak, they choose the right moment. They have great control over their emotions and reactions, intervening only when they feel the situation warrants it and ignoring many others. They stay close to everything, yet remain silent most of the time. So many of us are selfish, only caring about themselves, even if they are the closest person to them. They focus on the smallest details that make them happy, even at the expense of others, never caring except for fulfilling their own desires. They might ask you to drive them 100 kilometers to fulfill their needs, but won't they even hand you a pill from across the table? When they have no interest in you, they couldn't take care less about you. And even if they do have an interest, they try to get what they want without losing anything, avoiding wasting any time on you. A beautiful type is the patient and wise one, calm and collected. This person was raised by a wise hand at home, which made them someone who handles every situation in a unique way. For every circumstance, they have a distinctive approach, firmly believing that reactions differ with each situation. They possess a great intuition and deep awareness of how to deal with others and intervene in their matters. They stay close to everyone's hearts with their approach, making them stand out among us. So many of us have a style that provokes everyone. They don't think before they speak and intervene without permission. They never leave space for others to talk wherever they are, making you feel like they are experts in all matters, big or small. They give unsolicited advice without knowledge or experience, and their only concern is talking, even inventing stories to keep the conversation going. They are not ready to admit that what you say is correct and get angry if interrupted, yet they continuously interrupt you and anyone speaking. They convince themselves that their words are right, their logic flawless, and their immediate intervention, even if they cut you off repeatedly, is the best way to control the conversation. The hardest type of person is the one who treats everyone around them as if they know nothing, thinking they are the smartest and most observant. They listen to you only to disagree, treating everyone as though they are fools. In reality, they can't solve the simplest problems. They often make those around them feel that they are arrogant, thinking that most people aren't on their intellectual, professional, or even moral level. They believe everyone should work to please them or admire their personality, and they often crave constant praise, whether people talk about them in their presence or absence. What they desire most is for people to keep talking about them continuously. The person who is afraid of everything. Do you find them afraid of giving, afraid to make any decisions in their life? They seek advice from their friends and acquaintances even on the simplest matters that don't require more than 2 minutes of thought. But they are accustomed to gathering both important and trivial information from everyone around them before making any decision. For them, making a decision is one of the greatest dilemmas in their life. Sometimes you might describe them as cowardly, at other times as hesitant, and at times, you may grow tired of them and willingly distance yourself because they exhaust you. Leave it for later. This person procrastinates on everything, big and small, necessary and unnecessary. Everything is postponed for later. They are the exhausting person, not only leaving their duties for the next day but also trying to influence those around them. If you tell them what you plan to do, they will say, "You have plenty of time, what rush?" They are the ones who have gotten used to delaying today's work for tomorrow, and they are always the least active among their group. They don't like what you like or whom you like. They are a person who don't see any validity in others' opinions and makes you feel that everyone you know is no good. They make you feel you're wrong in everything you love. They have a way of telling you that you're always mistaken and that they have enough knowledge about people and details. They might pretend not to like certain individuals, while in reality, they wish to be friends with them. They have a strange personality, seeing everyone around them as making poor choices in everything. They drain your energy to get ahead of you. They try to be ahead of others, which can be a good thing, but their method might deceive you. They try to discourage you and convince you that everything you aspire to is outdated and perhaps won't benefit you now. They always try to hide everything from others but possess a strange way of wanting to know everything inside you or what you plan or intend to do tomorrow. They consider themselves ahead of you in experience, knowledge, and ideas. Whenever you tell them something, they'll say, "I've been through it," trying to convince you of the negatives, even though they may never experienced it before. They want to appear as the trusted advisor to break your wings and stop you from progressing in any step forward. The ever-laughing person. Someone who laughs at every story you tell, even if they don't understand parts of it. They always try to make you feel like they are with you, listening intently. They are the person who never dares to hurt anyone or break anyone's heart. You'll find them laughing heartily when they feel you're telling them a joke, and they'll become sad if they realize you're sharing an emotional story. They feel, they sense, they listen without interrupting, focusing intently on your face while you talk to them. They are easily affected by those around them and have one of the most aching hearts, suffering silently from pains that we know nothing about. They laugh to hide the heaviness of the burdens they carry, remaining the strong person between you, them, and their own soul, never finding any benefit in complaining. They give their all to please others, even if they don't know them. They are a kind person, their kindness is instinctive, planted in them since birth. They believe everyone deserves a helping hand and trust quickly. They are loyal and do not know betrayal, nor do they know how to say no. They become anxious when asked for something they can't provide and will try to give everything they have just so no one feels like they lack something. They hope that everyone is well and do not know the meaning of hatred or selfishness in their hearts. They laugh with everyone, not distinguishing between the young and the old, always trying to stay close to everyone because they love everyone. The person who contradicts themselves and others. They are indecisive, changing their opinions and decisions every minute. One day they tell you one thing, and the next day they contradict it or deny its truth. You find them constantly changing places and never liking where they are, craving food that they won't eat when they get it, and saying, if I had chosen this and that instead, it would have been tastier. They take a long time to pick their clothes, and they get confused by everything. They are always tired and exhaust those around them, draining their energy with waiting, flipping, and complaining. You find him at all times, except when you need him. It gradually disappears, suddenly becoming preoccupied with circumstances beyond his control. And when he knows that you may overcome your difficulties, he returns with excuses that no longer matter to you. It was with you whenever he wanted, whenever he pleased. He is not against you, nor does he wish to leave you, but he is incapable of being there for you during your hardest times. Sometimes, you describe him as selfish, other times as lazy, and sometimes as moody. He seeks justifications for all his actions without being asked. He fears losing those around him and fears being misunderstood. He avoids anything that might upset others. He is calm in nature, often sacrificing himself, thinking of others' feelings before his own, and sometimes his own feelings are the least of his concerns. He attends every invitation, but unfortunately, few think of him, few care for his kindness, and most take advantage of it without reason, intruding on those who distance themselves from things that hurt our feelings. He is an advisor to those around him, who turn to him for every little or big problem. He takes pride in being asked for advice, offering what he knows, and giving the right counsel. He is a person we need in many situations, and he only became an advisor after we were convinced that he has realistic ideas and answers to everything we need. He distinguishes between right and wrong, offering alternatives so that we have more than one option. He commands respect wherever he goes, speaks gracefully, and his spirit is elegant. He chooses his words carefully. He gauges his interactions based on purpose expressions, giving everyone their due. When he sees you happy, he behaves in a way that suits your mood, and when he sees you angry, he acts in a way that doesn't provoke you further. He influences everyone around him, with keen insight and never failing and honest expectations. Honest and sincere, his heart is filled with love, and wherever he is, he leaves an impact. He is the refined one. A single look or a small word may bother him, taking him a long time to forget, even if it was unintentional. He believes that harmony with others is connected to a calm approach. He struggles to move past words that come at the wrong time or place, always waiting for kindness in everything. He gets angry without speaking, healing his wounds alone, but when he misses someone, he admits it, and when he loves, he confesses it. He is sensitive, very sensitive. He obeys everyone and never refuses an honest request. Everyone who has known him loves him, he allows himself to enter your heart without you realizing it. You only need his gestures and manner to love him. He gives all he has when called upon. You long for his presence, his spontaneity, his innocence, and his honesty in loving those around him. At every occasion, he is the first to arrive, not just in body and necktie, but with his full presence and loyalty to the place and those within it. He is truly loyal. He burdens you with favors in the smallest things he offers and approaches you very slowly. He does not keep promises, does not believe in actions, and never returns anything you do for him. He hurts you and blames you for your absence, wrongs you and then accuses you of distancing yourself. When he is in trouble, he places the blame on those around him. He celebrates alone, but when surrounded by others, he feels sad. He resents a moment of laughter in front of others, fearing jealousy in joyful moments, while he freely expresses all his anger and hatred toward others. He sees himself as the best, the one who never errs and never apologizes. He is someone whose narcissism is utterly innocent. He makes you feel like he is concerned for you, that he cares about you. He offers advice loudly in front of others, trying to draw attention to himself in a climbing manner, gathering as many people as possible around your story. He adopts the role of a trusted advisor in public, but keeps it to himself in private. When he sees you alone, he is unable to say a word, and may pretend to be busy or to not notice you. People see him and know that he doesn't want to give advice as much as he wants to publicize what he hides. He follows the advice in public as a humiliation style. He sits among people, adjusting his glasses according to the situation and topic of discussion. He boasts of his perfume, his shoes, color, and the design of his watch. A talks about feats he has never experienced or accomplished, and the word E dominates his speech. A assumes flashy roles and promises to fulfill whatever is needed, even if difficult, and might dare claim he is capable of achieving the impossible. But in the nearest moment of need, he doesn't answer his phone or check his messages. Everything vanishes. A is the one pretending to be someone he is not. A is distinguished by his friendship, his presence, and his absence. Few resemble him. A reads you without you speaking a word, feeling your pain from the tone of your voice. A comes without being called and supports your shoulder before it even bends. A has no interest in any benefit from you and rejects such ideas between you. A cares about you always being okay and needs only loyalty from you to maintain your relationship. A is as careful with your matters as he is with his own and is grateful for your existence in his life. A is the brother you never had. A doesn't believe anyone or trust easily. He hates clarity, asks many questions, and makes others feel that his emotions, words, and positions are fake. A plants many feelings of inferiority in others, turning every conversation into difficult questions with no answers. He loves listening to justifications from others and waits for explanations that will help him uncover the truth of Simeone's emotions. He cares about his freedom but steps on others' freedoms. A hates those around him based on illusions planted in his mind. A is the suspicious person. A marvels at your every step forward in life, belittles all your struggles. A watches you and observes you intently, fearing that you might be blessed with something or that you might find happiness. A sees in you fuel to ignite his own feelings. A doesn't like you to disappear from his side or for your name to not be spoken around him. A dreams of you, and thinks about all your movements. A assigns flaws to you that you're unaware of, and makes those around him doubt you. A creates stories that diminish you in your absence, excluding any mention of your successes and never wishing you well. A feels hurt if others speak kindly of you in front of him, wishing that everything you have would be in his hands. A is the envious one. A blames you for everything that happens to him, his failure, his laziness, his late nights, his afternoon awakenings. You are the one to blame if he fails at work, if his car breaks down, if he misses something and loses it. A uses you as a scapegoat for all the misery he experiences and every step he falters in. If he catches a cold or feels a chill, he might blame you. Don't worry, you are his only way to vent the deficiencies within him. A envies everyone, except those with good behavior and morals. A envies the successful and imitates the failed. A knows the right path but takes twisted routes away from it. So, who is he? A keeps you to himself, fears for you from the cold and everything else. A guards you as his greatest secret. When he hears your voice, he smiles. When your name is mentioned, he smiles. A longs for you in your present absence, writes the sweetest and softest words about you, keeps the tone of your voice until moments before sleep. A draws you in the most beautiful forms, making miracles of you in his imagination. A counts your steps just as he counts the days of your absence, seeing you in everyone he meets. A contemplates, errs, and wrongs, forgives, and pardons. A envies, blames, admonishes, and forgives, and you never know. He sleeps on the last fragrance of yours, begins his day with thoughts of you, wondering what you're doing and how you became. A greets you whenever you leave his mind and return. A becomes distracted by everything except you. You are the most precious thing he owns, without you ever realizing it. A is the one who loves you, and you don't even know. A complains about everything and always plays the victim. A makes you feel guilty, even if you haven't done anything for him or haven't seen him for a while. The moment he sees you, he starts blaming you, even if he is the one who wronged you. He is exhausting to deal with, always complaining, and makes you and those around you feel that you're continuously neglecting him. No one gives him anything, and no one appreciates him or values his efforts, even though that's not true. In the end, he finds himself alone after everyone has distanced themselves from him because of his behavior. A is your wronged friend. Your presence suits him. A has a strange ability to get close to you and keep you around. A praises you often, talks a lot about you, and makes you feel that he cannot do without you, and indeed, he can't. It makes you feel like you never make mistakes, and that everything you say or do is right and fits with his thoughts. He imitates you when he can and always wants you at the forefront of people. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to you. He admires the color of your shirt, your way of thinking, your walk, the types of food you like, and the mood you're in. He is someone who follows you and sees you as an example in everything. He heals every wound in you, pushes you forward as much as he can, and doesn't expect anything in return for what he gives. He adapts to your situations to calm you and allow you to rebuild yourself, always wishing you well. He feels you from the first glance and understands the depth of your emotions and the harshness of your experience. He feels that you're going through what he went through before, as it's a past experience for him. It reminds him of his pain. However, he prioritizes your pain, wanting to heal your wound so you can overcome your situation. He is the one who sympathizes when facing someone who has been wronged, just as he has been wronged. So many people claim they can analyze everything inside you, making you believe they understand you without you saying a word, relying only on reading your eyes. They make you feel like they know everything you're thinking and hold on to their opinions, considering themselves experts on those around them. They care more about others than about themselves, moving among people as if they were peace doves wanting the best for everyone. Beyond all of this, there are convictions in themselves that don't resemble anyone around them. Sometimes, they wrong themselves and sometimes wrong everyone, but they never back down. The habit of theorizing about others has become their way of life and their method of dealing with people. So many among us never thank others because they don't see any reason to express gratitude, and they never apologize because they think they never make mistakes, and apologizing would be a sign of weakness. They don't approach anyone because they believe no one deserves it. They criticize everyone and belittle even the closest people to them. They think your service to them is a duty, their neglect of you is a freedom, and disturbing your peace is their right. They make you feel that their presence in your life is a favor, and pleasing them is a duty and commitment. They fear that anyone might imitate their clothes, perfume, or way of speaking, seeing themselves as the only one who is unlike anyone else. Their friends are few, and their enemies are also few, because they have no real friends or enemies. They distance themselves from everyone, preferring solitude and neutrality, yet they live with strange behaviors.
Chapter 4, Messages for You.
There may be moments of distress and despair, where you feel lost in a whirlpool of doubt, and your heart becomes like a lost ship, searching for the nourishment of peace amidst the chaos. You may feel as though the path will never be easy, but in a moment, you will find an escape from everything that has troubled you. So don't lose hope or give up, for with every dawn comes a new opportunity, and in every difficulty, there lies strength within you. Life is not just a collection of difficult moments and dark times, but a constantly renewing cycle, a winding path that carries within it much hope, reminding you that life deserves every effort you make to achieve what you strive for. And even if the ending you dream of is not joyful, try again, convinced that the story is not over yet, and the most beautiful chapters are still waiting for you. In every moment when you feel lost, do not worry, just remember that the virtues of Surah Al-Baqarah were created for you and me. In it, there is salvation from the fire of confusion, and a release for the emotions that are trapped in your chest. Always remember that the surahs of the Quran are a refuge from the curse of oppression, pain, and sorrow. Whenever the way seems difficult, remember that the heavens do not close on those who carry in their hearts hope, prayer, and faith in their Lord. Remember that life is full of colors that we ourselves paint, by choice, not by circumstances. You may see a poor person who knows how to create light from his smile, lighting the hearts of those around him despite the little he possesses, while there is a rich person trapped in depression, hiding behind a fake shine, even though he has everything that satisfies the strongest desires. The difference is not in what we own, but in how we view what is around us. Happiness may reside in a heart full of contentment, while sadness may nest in the chest of someone who sees nothing but lack. Do not look at the poor as poor in feelings or thoughts, for perhaps within him, he holds something that appearances do not reveal. Behind his simple clothes, there may be big dreams and ideas that reach for the sky. Poverty is not a mirror that reflects the value of a person or the energies and potentials they hold, but rather a passing circumstance that may limit material possibilities,
but it cannot limit the expansion of the soul or the depth of thought. You may find the poor person filled with the wisdom of life, which he learned from harsh experiences, or with warm feelings that grew in his heart despite the difficulties. That soul is not measured by money, but by the impact it leaves on others. His words may be more truthful and inspiring than those spoken in halls of grandeur, for he who knows need, knows the true meaning of giving. Do not judge a person by their outward appearance, and do not assume that a lack of money means a lack of thought or emotion. You may find depth in simplicity that you do not see in the complexities of other lives, and find in the poor person a heart that can hold the world more than any wealth. The difference is not in what we have in terms of money or status, but in what we carry within ourselves in terms of visions and dreams. It is the outlook on life that may allow a person to see hope even in the most difficult circumstances, or live in bitterness despite his comforts. In the end, the choice is in our hands, to search for light in the corners of our lives, to paint joy despite hardships, or to surrender to circumstances, and lose our sense of the beauty of life. There may be moments of distress and despair, where you feel lost in a whirlpool of doubt, and your heart becomes like a lost ship, searching for the nourishment of peace amidst the chaos. You may feel as though the path will never be easy, but in a moment, you will find an escape from everything that has troubled you. So don't lose hope or give up, for with every dawn comes a new opportunity, and in every difficulty, there lies strength within you. Life is not just a collection of difficult moments and dark times, but a constantly renewing cycle, a winding path that carries within it much hope, reminding you that life deserves every effort you make to achieve what you strive for. And even if the ending you dream of is not joyful, try again, convinced that the story is not over yet, and the most beautiful chapters are still waiting for you. In every moment when you feel lost, do not worry, just remember that the virtues of Surah Al-Baqarah were created for you and me. In it, there is salvation from the fire of confusion, and a release for the emotions that are trapped in your chest. Always remember that the surahs of the Quran are a refuge from the curse of oppression, pain, and sorrow. Whenever the way seems difficult, remember that the heavens do not close on those who carry in their hearts hope, prayer, and faith in their Lord. Remember that life is full of colors that we ourselves paint, by choice, not by circumstances. You may see a poor person who knows how to create light from his smile, lighting the hearts of those around him despite the little he possesses, while there is a rich person trapped in depression, hiding behind a fake shine, even though he has everything that satisfies the strongest desires. The difference is not in what we own, but in how we view what is around us. Happiness may reside in a heart full of contentment, while sadness may nest in the chest of someone who sees nothing but lack. Do not look at the poor as poor in feelings or thoughts, for perhaps within him, he holds something that appearances do not reveal. Behind his simple clothes, there may be big dreams and ideas that reach for the sky. Poverty is not a mirror that reflects the value of a person or the energies and potentials they hold, but rather a passing circumstance that may limit material possibilities, but it cannot limit the expansion of the soul or the depth of thought. You may find the poor person filled with the wisdom of life, which he learned from harsh experiences, or with warm feelings that grew in his heart despite the difficulties. That soul is not measured by money, but by the impact it leaves on others. His words may be more truthful and inspiring than those spoken in halls of grandeur, for he who knows need, knows the true meaning of giving. Do not judge a person by their outward appearance, and do not assume that a lack of money means a lack of thought or emotion. You may find depth in simplicity that you do not see in the complexities of other lives, and find in the poor person a heart that can hold the world more than any wealth. The difference is not in what we have in terms of money or status, but in what we carry within ourselves in terms of visions and dreams. It is the outlook on life that may allow a person to see hope even in the most difficult circumstances, or live in bitterness despite his comforts. In the end, the choice is in our hands, to search for light in the corners of our lives, to paint joy despite hardships, or to surrender to circumstances, and lose our sense of the beauty of life. Always remember that only your nail can scratch your skin, and that the harm you feel may be caused by you. Perhaps you place yourself in situations where you trust without calculations, and if you need advice, you may turn to the wrong person. Always remember that the intuition you feel, and what your heart tells you may be correct, but you hesitate to face what your heart suggests, because you believed in the honesty of those around you. Know that seeking advice from someone with experience is better for you, and not everyone is worthy of our trust or words. When beautiful words lose their effect on the soul, and when gifts, no matter how valuable, become meaningless, and when longing and absence are replaced by a period of rest or recovery from love, then you will realize that something significant has broken, and that you are on the verge of the last station in a story that was once something grand. It is the final line in a story where the hero was a lover whose fate changed, and who retreated from vows and promises made over the number of days in the story, whose pages are now folded forever. You will mature and understand that true love is that which does not need reasons to express itself, nor does it require physical proximity to stay alive. It is the love that grows in the distance, and lives in the soul before it lives in the body. As for beginnings, if they are beautiful, let them continue. The beauty that touched your heart with the first step should not be fleeting. There are beginnings that resemble flowers, arriving with winds of unforgettable fragrance, awakening what was stagnant in you, and refreshing your passion in your soul. Know that the commandments of love are 10, faith in those you love and keeping an open heart, closeness and care, clarity of feelings and purity of soul, warm communication with sensitivity, mutual trust and eternal vows, and care in times of hardship. Souls seek a safe harbor near the sea of morals, a hand that wipes away tears, and a breath that brings hope amidst the fog. The journey of loyalty is not easy, it is a type of strong will and a pure heart. Know that the breakers of the heart are 10, continuous neglect, unbearable betrayal, a smile stolen from crowded pages, excuses that do not convince, justifications uglier than the sin, the burning of the heart, forgotten moments, stolen joy, and the harshness of words. For some words are medicine, while others are stings of fire.
When opportunities become scarce, and hands are stingy, don't be sad. Giving is not measured by what comes to you from the outside, but by what overflows from your heart. Remember that inside you is a mine of hope and dreams, one that doesn't need a hand reaching out to grant it, but needs your belief that you are enough, and that what you are looking for may be closer than you think. The stingy ones lose their opportunities before they lose yours, and you are the one who remains, who endures, and who plants seeds in your land. Even if it seems barren today, it will bloom tomorrow. The flaw is not in you, the flaw is in those who couldn't see your value, in those who looked at you from a narrow perspective, and didn't appreciate the purity of your heart or the beauty of your soul. The flaw is in the eyes that did not do you justice, in the words that passed judgments on you that you did not deserve, and in the hearts that didn't open their doors to you and could only accept what suited their whims. Always remember that you are not responsible for how they see you. Be who you are, because those who know the value of the essence will never mistake the appreciation. Don't get angry, for in anger, opportunities and paths are lost to the heat of the moment. Dialogue is a rare language that is built on patience and awareness, and in a moment of anger, its foundations are destroyed. Remember that decisions made under the pressure of anger may carry the shadow of regret, and that some things, once broken, are really hard to return to how they were. Just as it's difficult to repair broken things, so it is with hearts and relationships that can be shattered by harsh moments. When opportunities become scarce, and hands are stingy, don't be sad. Giving is not measured by what comes to you from the outside, but by what overflows from your heart. Remember that inside you is a mine of hope and dreams, one that doesn't need a hand reaching out to grant it, but needs your belief that you are enough, and that what you are looking for may be closer than you think. The stingy ones lose their opportunities before they lose yours, and you are the one who remains, who endures, and who plants seeds in your land. Even if it seems barren today, it will bloom tomorrow. The flaw is not in you, the flaw is in those who couldn't see your value, in those who looked at you from a narrow perspective, and didn't appreciate the purity of your heart or the beauty of your soul. The flaw is in the eyes that did not do you justice, in the words that passed judgments on you that you did not deserve, and in the hearts that didn't open their doors to you and could only accept what suited their whims. Always remember that you are not responsible for how they see you. Be who you are, because those who know the value of the essence will never mistake the appreciation. Don't get angry, for in anger, opportunities and paths are lost to the heat of the moment. Dialogue is a rare language that is built on patience and awareness, and in a moment of anger, its foundations are destroyed. Remember that decisions made under the pressure of anger may carry the shadow of regret, and that some things, once broken, are really hard to return to how they were. Just as it's difficult to repair broken things, so it is with hearts and relationships that can be shattered by harsh moments. Free yourself from hatred, from the fire of spite, from that chain that burdens your soul and steals your peace. That heavy burden robs you of your peace of heart and the purity of your soul. Hatred is nothing but a prison that builds its walls around you, blocking you from the light of life, preventing you from feeling the beauty of forgiveness and tolerance. Remember that in every moment you hold on to hatred, you lose a part of your happiness and allow pain to control your days. Hatred envelopes the soul in endless darkness, making the world seem harsh, while the truth is that forgiveness brings light and restores the lightness of the heart. Free yourself from hatred, and give your soul a chance to heal. Nothing is worth being imprisoned in a cycle of anger and hatred. In forgiveness, you find freedom, and in tolerance, you find true strength. Loving yourself is beautiful, and the most beautiful thing is to love yourself as you are, with your good qualities and beautiful traits. Don't pay too much attention to the opinions of those around you, and don't believe that their views on your appearance and clothing are the reason you shouldn't enjoy your life and your days. Always look at the beauty your soul carries and accept your circumstances as they are. Try to fix what you felt was over and could never be fixed or returned to its natural state. Repairing things starts with a decision, courage, and perseverance, and sometimes may need a kind of adventure. Remember that every arrow needs to go backward before it can go the farthest distance. Going back to zero is not a flaw, but rather a new beginning that forms the first step for a new journey where you may find yourself better than in previous attempts because you have learned from your mistakes and overcome them in the new stage. Consulting those with experience in what you want to do is not a flaw. Perhaps you will find in them advice on matters you didn't know before, and secrets you hadn't realized. You may find in someone's advice a great way to save time and effort, as in choosing the right timing for what you want to do, you find comfort and ensure a higher chance of success.
How to stay and become better. To move forward, to achieve our dreams, to overcome obstacles, to contribute to building a healthy personality free from the evils of despair, we need a lot of effort, strength, and motivation. These are things that schools do not teach us, but rather life experiences, days, and situations.
The power of will. Nothing in this life is stronger than your will. You may face storms and obstacles, but your belief in yourself and your ability to rise after every fall is what makes the difference. Be the person who doesn't stop until they reach the light at the end of the road. The road may seem long and lonely at times, but always remember that the light is waiting for you at the end. Don't stop moving forward, no matter how many times you stumble. Every step you take brings you closer to your dream, even if it's slow. The second chance. Life doesn't give you chances, you create them. If you fail the first time, be confident that the road isn't over yet. The second chance isn't just luck, it is the result of your persistence and learning from your mistakes. Every beginning is difficult. Nothing begins easily, but it's the difficult beginning that makes success more beautiful. Be patient, for the road to success is filled with challenges, but those who persist are the ones who reach the end. Don't compare yourself to others. Your journey is yours alone. Don't compare yourself to others, as everyone has their own story and challenges. Focus on improving yourself and developing your skills, because true success is becoming a better version of who you were yesterday. Make failure your motivation. Failure is not the end of the road, but a new beginning. Every fall is a new lesson, and every obstacle is an opportunity to learn something new. Don't fear failure, but use it as motivation to come back stronger and smarter. Hope never dies. Hope is the spark that lights the way in the darkest of times. Even when you feel things are starting to deteriorate, remember that hope can change everything. Never lose faith that the best is yet to come. You make your destiny. Don't let circumstances or others' opinions determine your fate. You are the one who has the power to shape your future. Make decisions that align with your dreams, and be brave in pursuing them. Change begins from within. If you want to change the world around you, start with yourself. Every real transformation begins by changing our thoughts and behaviors. Be the living example of what you want to see in others, and take part in making a difference. Don't be afraid of big dreams. Big dreams may seem far-fetched, so don't limit them. The bigger your dreams, the bigger your accomplishments. Dream as big as the sky, and start with small steps to make those dreams come true. Every big dream starts with a small idea. Learn from yesterday. Take lessons from the past, but don't let it determine your future. Live every moment in the present, and prepare to build a better tomorrow. The past is an experience, the present is an opportunity, and the future is a dream waiting to be realized. Make every day a new beginning. Each day is a new opportunity to start fresh. Leave behind all that weighs you down and greet the morning with optimism and determination. Make today the day you make a difference. Determination creates miracles. If you think something is impossible, remember that determination and persistence can create miracles. Keep working toward your goal, and trust that every effort you put forth will bear fruit in the end. Life is a journey, enjoy every moment. Don't look at life as a race, but as a journey full of experiences. Enjoy every moment and celebrate both the small and big achievements. Life is a collection of moments that stay in your memory. Positivity attracts positivity. When you're positive, you attract positive things toward you. Make optimism your lifestyle and share positive energy with those around you. Positivity is not just a feeling, it is a real force that changes everything. Be brave in facing your fears. Fears are just thoughts, and by challenging them, you can discover new strengths. Be courageous, face your fears, and every step outside your comfort zone will bring you closer to success. Every moment is an opportunity for change. At any given moment, you have the chance to change the course of your life. Seize these opportunities, and don't hesitate to make decisions that lead you to a better future. Change requires courage, but the results are worth all the effort. Patience is the key to relief. When things don't go as planned, remember that patience is the key. Everything comes in its own time, all you have to do is continue working with faith. Success requires boldness. To achieve what you want, you need to be bold. Don't be afraid to take the necessary steps to reach your dreams, hesitation will never bring you the results you seek. Change is the constant. Life is full of changes, so learn how to adapt to them. Embracing change makes you more resilient and stronger when facing challenges. Step by step. Don't underestimate small steps. Every achievement, no matter how small, contributes to building greater successes. Keep moving toward your goal, step by step. Be an inspiration. Make yourself a role model. Your strength and positivity can inspire others to achieve their dreams. Be the change you want to see in others. Life is bigger than worry. Don't let worry control you. Life is full of opportunities and new experiences. Enjoy every moment, and look for beauty in the small things. Determination makes miracles. Determination is what makes the impossible possible. When you insist on success, you'll find the path that leads you to it, regardless of the challenges. Write your success story. Everyone has a unique story. Write yours with courage, and don't fear failure or setbacks. You are the author, so make your life an inspiring novel. Perseverance in facing challenges. When facing difficulties, remember that perseverance is what distinguishes the successful. Keep trying, and don't let obstacles stop you. Strength in unity. When we collaborate and support each other, we create a force that cannot be underestimated. Remember, success is not an individual journey but the result of teamwork. Surround yourself with positive people who encourage you to move forward. Invest in yourself. You are your most valuable asset, so invest time and effort into developing your skills and knowledge. Continuous education and learning from experience will make you stronger and more capable of facing challenges. Listen to your heart. While external voices may be loud, don't forget to listen to your heart. Follow your passion and trust your intuition, as they are the guides that lead you to the right path to achieve your goals. Contentment is the secret to happiness. Happiness is not in what we own, but in how we appreciate what we have. Learn to be content, and you will find the inner peace you seek. Contentment opens doors to happiness that may otherwise be closed. Be your own friend. Treat yourself with kindness and transparency. In times of difficulty, support yourself as you would a friend. Celebrate your achievements and be gentle with your mistakes. Self-love is the foundation of success. Be creative in problem solving. Every problem carries an opportunity for creativity. Don't let obstacles block your path, instead, seek new and innovative solutions. Creativity is what distinguishes successful people from others. Every step matters. Don't underestimate the value of small steps. Every achievement, no matter how simple, brings you closer to your goal. Keep moving forward, as continuous progress is what builds success. Enjoy the journey. Success is not a destination, it's a journey filled with experiences. Enjoy every moment of this journey, and be open to learning lessons from each experience. Life requires appreciation and celebration of all that it offers. Mistakes are part of learning. Don't fear making mistakes, they are part of the learning process. Consider every mistake as a lesson that enhances your knowledge and brings you closer to your goals. Learning from mistakes is what makes you wiser and more confident.
Chapter 5, Stories from My Life. Each story was a lesson for me.
Each of us has a story filled with events and moments that may seem ordinary to those unaware of the details, yet for the one who lived them, they mark defining points in life. Some stories feel familiar, while others hold unexpected surprises. Behind every person I have met in my life, I have seen a story that shaped them into who they are today. From them, I have learned wisdom, patience, and the belief that everything we are now is part of our destiny. In this chapter, I will share with you stories from my journey, my experiences with people, places, ideas, and even with myself. Some of these stories have shaped my character and influenced my path, while others are simple moments from daily life that, despite their simplicity, carry profound lessons. They have changed the way I see the small details that fill my everyday life.
1. The scorpion whose home I invaded.
It was midday on a hot summer day, and we had just finished the wheat harvest season in an area near my village called elaboration. My father and I began packing the straw in the sacks to transport it to the storage area near our house in the village. We had filled about 2/3 of the straw when we ran out of empty sacks. My father asked me to go to the storage room and bring more empty sacks. So, I went. When I arrived, I started collecting the empty sacks and placing them into a large bag. He put in a bunch of them and continued gathering more, folding them to make more space. As the bag was nearly full, I pressed down on its contents with my hand, only to feel a sharp sting. It was so painful that I screamed instinctively. When I pulled my hand away, I saw a tiny puncture, no bigger than a needle's tip. I immediately realized that I had been stung by a scorpion. I emptied the bag to confirm my suspicion, and there it was, a shiny black scorpion, raising its tail, ready to strike again. Without hesitation, I crushed it with a small rock. It had inflicted unbearable pain on me, and I had no idea how its venom would affect me. The situation made me pause and reflect. I was the one who had intruded upon the scorpion's space. It had made a home for itself in one of the sacks without my knowledge. It had been resting peacefully until I disturbed it. It simply defended itself, a natural reaction. Even if it was a dangerous creature, I realized that sometimes, we too invade others' spaces unknowingly, and their reactions, whether pleasant or not, are merely instinctive responses.
2. The gas cylinder and its last breaths.
The gas cylinder breathed its last, and so did our patience as we waited for the pot of rice pudding my mother had prepared using milk she bought from our neighbor. We eagerly anticipated the moment when the rice pudding would be ready to warm our bellies against the bitter winter cold and silence our hunger. With the cylinder empty, a new wait began, waiting for the gas vendor to pass by or for someone to go to Kufrasat to bring a replacement. He stood at the edge of the street, hoping to see a gas vendor at sunset, or perhaps my uncle Ahmad, who often transported the milk from his livestock to a dairy in the village of Hoffa. A gas vendor finally passed by. Despite my repeated signals, he didn't stop. It was as if I wasn't even there, as if he were silently saying, "EBay run out of gas cylinders, there is no reason for me to stop." It paid me no attention, not even sparing a moment to apologize. That was when I realized something. Some people, if they have no direct benefit in helping you, won't they even acknowledge your presence. He never forgot that moment. He made a silent vow never to deal with him again, no matter how desperate I was for a gas cylinder. As I grew older, I carried this lesson with me. He came to understand that self-respect is one of the greatest values a person can possess and that preserving our dignity, no matter the circumstances, is priceless. True worth doesn't lie in temporary convenience but in the respect we hold for ourselves and others.
3. Premonitions of a cold night.
The atmosphere was slightly foggy as I set out from my village, Saidor, to Kufrasat, to fetch a gallon of kerosene for heating. My mother had predicted a cold and rainy night ahead. Carrying the empty gallon, I braced myself for the changing weather, knowing I might not find a ride. I felt proud that my mother had entrusted me with this task, especially since my father was away from home 4 or 5 days a week. He finally arrived at the station after catching a ride on the side of Abu al-Qaeda's tractor. He had escaped plowing before the rain arrived, fearing that his tractor's tires would get stuck in the mud. The station was crowded with cars, all there to purchase kerosene. Since I was just an 11-year-old boy, no one paid me any attention. Everyone was in a hurry to fill their gallon and return home. As I waited, the number of cars gradually decreased. With the sun setting and darkness creeping in, anxiety began to take hold of me. Just then, a man pulled over and asked, "Where are you heading?" "To Sadar," I replied. "I'll take you there for a dinar," he said. He looked at him and answered, "If we had an extra dinar, I would have been home 2 hours ago." He chuckled and said, "I'll take you for free." And so, without another word, he drove me home. His gesture was simple, yet filled with kindness. He sought his reward from God, not from a child who didn't yet grasp the full value of money, but who understood the true meaning of genuine actions. Sometimes, the kindness we offer to others without expecting anything in return is the most beautiful and impactful. True generosity is not measured by what we give materially, but by what we offer from the heart, especially when we choose to help those who have nothing to give back except deep gratitude.
4. My father waking me up.
Waking up to my father's voice was always a unique and unforgettable experience. It wasn't like anyone else, gently waking you up or whispering softly. No, he had his own distinct way. Every morning, he would enter the room with a loud voice, as if announcing the start of a new day for everyone. "Get up. The day has begun, and work is waiting for you." At first, I would try to delay getting up. I would stretch in bed, cover my face with a blanket, pretending to be in deep sleep. But my father wasn't easily fooled. He had a strong sense of responsibility, not only toward himself but toward all his family members. He would wait for me to lift my head, then gently pull the blanket a little. If I didn't respond, he would pull it off forcefully. "Get up, time is passing, and you have a long journey ahead, from the village to Amman." Sometimes, he would send my mother in while he watched closely, just before his patience began to wear thin. But in the end, I would always have to give in, postponing the warmth and my dreams for later. Although I sometimes found his loud approach annoying, I knew that behind every word and action, there was love and care. My father wasn't just waking me up, he was teaching me the value of time and the importance of making the most of every moment. As time passed, I moved away and lived alone, and I started longing for those mornings. Even on days off, I would wait for his sudden entrance, his voice, and his unwavering sense of responsibility. It would wait patiently, just as he always did, with every attempt to wake me. My father wasn't just waking me from sleep, he was awakening within me a drive to work, a sense of energy, and a belief that every new day brings new opportunities. Now, when I wake up alone, I miss those moments. My father was more than just someone who woke me up, he was the creator of morning memories that will stay with me forever.
5. My father's newspaper and the excitement of crossword puzzles.
The most beautiful thing about the morning newspaper was its scent in my father's hands. The words seemed to scatter like the fresh ink's aroma, blending with the morning breeze that slipped through the branches of the jasmine tree planted at the edge of our western veranda. My father would sit in his usual chair, a cup of tea beside him, his full attention devoted to the newspaper. He would watch him from afar, stealing glances at his changing expressions, as if his face were a mirror reflecting what he read. Sometimes, I would see him smile, as if a piece of good news had found its way into his eyes, planting a seed of reassurance in his heart. Other times, his eyebrows would rise in anger, as if the world, through those printed lines, was delivering unwelcome news. As a child, I often wondered, what made this paper hold so many emotions? How could printed pages be a reflection of an entire world? My father didn't talk much about what he read, but he would leave the newspaper folded on the table when he was done, as if it had finished telling him its story and was now waiting for someone else to read it. Sometimes, I would try to imitate him, opening the newspaper and flipping through its pages, though much of it remained a mystery to me. The words seemed like cryptic symbols, yet I sensed that between my father and the newspaper, there was a special language, one I didn't understand but could certainly feel. He enjoyed the newspaper most when my father left me the easiest part of the crossword puzzle. It was like a secret game he handed over to me with a smile. Here, this part is for you. He knew he had carefully chosen the simpler words, the ones that suited my age at the time, but to me, they were an exciting challenge. I would grab a pen and start eagerly, trying to fill in the blanks. Sometimes, I got the answers right, other times, I didn't. But my father would correct me gently, never diminishing my little moments of joy. Over time, I learned to understand more of those puzzles and became better at solving them. The crossword was not just a game, it was a small bridge of ink and words that silently connected us. Years passed, newspapers changed, and the way we read the news evolved. But what never changed was the memory of those mornings and my father's face buried between the lines. Perhaps the newspaper itself was never the important part. It was those small moments, when the whole world rested lightly in my father's hands within the pages of a newspaper, while we carried those moments forever in our hearts.
6. The honey badger and the people of my village.
On that Friday afternoon, a gentle breeze swayed the towering almond tree near the wild pistachio tree. Its seeds fell, rolling down with the first slipping drop towards an olive tree in a small orchard. My father asked me to reorganize the stones, debris, and broken branches that had been washed away by the winter floods. He began gathering the dry branches entangled with the rocks, some of which would serve as fuel for a kettle of tea, into which I had added a few cardamom pods. He watched the fire closely, ensuring it didn't spread, as the dry grass could easily catch fire, especially at this time of day. Just as I was about to sort the small stones from the large ones, I heard a sound, a cry resembling that of an infant. It came from near the trunk of a medium-sized storax tree, beneath a large rock whose dusty crevices were draped with the roots of wild thyme. He quickly ran to inform my uncle, the village elder, about what I had heard. The elder, along with everyone who had heard my call, rushed to the spot as I shouted, "There is a baby crying at the edge of the orchard." When we arrived, the elder pulled out a small lantern he had brought along with his rifle. As soon as he directed its light into the hollow beneath the rock, we saw a pair of glowing eyes reflecting the beam. At that moment, the elder laughed and said, "It's a honey badger, a creature slightly larger than a plump wild rabbit. Its body is black, and its head is dusted with shades of gray and white." The honey badger's cry had stirred the humanitarian instincts of many in our neighborhood, leading them to believe that a helpless child had been abandoned there. This incident reflected the strength of our tightly knit community, always ready to offer help without hesitation. It was a testament to the importance of cooperation and standing together for those in need, without waiting for explanations or details.
7. My classmates and the mystery of the power outage. That was in 1995.
One time, when we were in 8th grade, a group of my classmates decided to study for our Arabic exam at my house. There were 4 of them, and after we finished studying, they left. Just as they stepped out, the power went out in our house. We assumed it was a neighborhood-wide outage, so we waited, thinking it would be restored soon. As night fell, we started noticing that the houses around us were all lit, except ours. That's when my mother realized that the power outage was only in our home. We searched for the cause, checking different areas, until she finally discovered that the main circuit breaker had tripped. She simply switched it back on, and the electricity returned. At that moment, we didn't bother to investigate why it had been turned off in the first place. The next morning at school, as soon as one of my classmates saw me, he burst into silent laughter, his usual way of laughing. But this time, he stopped mid-laugh, his eyes fixed on me. He waited for him to regain his composure, and then he said, "I know who turned off the breaker at your house yesterday." At that moment, I realized that one of my friends had done it as a prank before leaving. It was the tallest one among us, his height had allowed him to reach the breaker panel. He was known for his playful spirit and didn't mean any harm, he just wanted to joke around and make the others laugh. Even though it was just a harmless prank, we had spent a long time searching for the cause of the outage. But after fixing the issue, we didn't dwell on it any further. That experience taught us a valuable lesson. Sometimes, we waste our time and effort searching for unnecessary details when we should be focusing on solutions. It reminded us of the importance of setting priorities. Some things can drain our energy without any real benefit, while the key is to focus on what truly matters.
8. My father losing my brother in the market.
It was the afternoon of the last Friday of Ramadan in 2001, and we were expecting it to be the last day of the holy month. My father wanted to go to the market to buy Eid clothes for my younger siblings and some other essentials for the occasion. It took my younger brother Ahmed, who was 10 years old at the time. At that point, my father didn't have a mobile phone. It was late, and the time for the afternoon prayer came and went, but he still hadn't returned, and there was no way to check on him. As sunset approached, concern began to grow in the minds of everyone in our family. My mother and I stood anxiously at the corner of the street near our neighborhood. After a few moments, the village bus arrived. We were so relieved, thinking the worry was over, but when the bus stopped, Ahmed stepped out quietly and said, "I lost Dad in the chaos of the market." He quickly went to the market with a friend to check on my father, who I was certain must have been very worried, searching for Ahmed in the midst of the incredible crowds that come with the Eid season. When I reached the new Jordan Valley complex, I found my father looking around at everyone with an intense, tense gaze. His face was both red and pale, and he was gripping his hands, which held bags with everything he had bought. It was clear that he had lost Ahmed some time earlier. When my father saw me, for some reason, he slightly turned his face away from me, but I hurried over to him and said, "Dad, Ahmed is at home. He arrived about an hour ago." I asked, "How?" He replied, "He told a police patrol that he had lost you. They tried looking for you, but couldn't find you. So, before the buses stopped, they took him to the new Jordan Valley complex and put him on the Sidon bus after he told them your name and our address. We returned home, and the rest of the way was silent. But in my heart, there was a feeling of sadness with every glance I gave my father. He was exhausted, worried, and tense, and maybe he was thinking about the question, what if Ahmed hadn't returned? From this situation, I learned a valuable lesson. Difficult moments, no matter how heavy, often bring lessons in patience and responsibility. I realized that caring for family doesn't just stop at providing for their needs but extends to worry and attention, even in the smallest details.
9. Memories of a bald man. The thief who stole my hair on my wedding night, Thursday, August 17, 2006.
It was a day when I was preparing for my wedding, but I wanted to avoid the high costs of a haircut that are charged when the customer tells the barber it's for their wedding day. The price would end up being 7 or 10 dinars instead of 50 dinars for styling my hair and cleaning my skin as a groom. So, I decided to go to a famous barber shop in the city center known for its nice haircuts. I needed a fresh new hairstyle to boost my confidence as a groom. He sat in the chair and overheard another customer on the neighboring chair telling the barber, "I want my hair shaved completely, as they say in my country, to zero." The barber, who was working on my hair, began his task. He asked for a simple trim and made sure to be clear about what I wanted without letting him know I was the groom tonight in my village. As the scissors moved quickly around my head, I started to feel something strange. The amount of hair falling to the floor seemed more than I expected. I tried to reassure myself and asked the barber, "How's it going?" He responded confidently with a smile, "Don't worry, you'll look great." But when I looked in the mirror, I found the back of my head was completely bald. He was shocked. The hair I had been taking care of for years, a part of my identity, was almost gone. It wasn't just a simple trim, it was a complete theft of my hair. He looked as though I had just lost a fight with the scissors. He said to him, "What have you done?" He replied, "Didn't you ask for a zero cut?" He told him, "No, that's not me." He quickly realized that he had confused my request with that of the other customer, whose voice was louder. The barber laughed and said, "Don't worry, I'll work on the style, and you'll see how beautiful it will look. But when I looked in the mirror, I couldn't see any style, only that he almost made me the first groom in my village to have no hair on his wedding night. He left the barber shop feeling like a professional thief had almost stolen my hair, had I not noticed in time. I went home, reflecting on the lesson I had learned, trusting a barber isn't always a good idea, especially when they're holding scissors. If the scissors don't fail them, their hearing might.
10. My tight shoes.
Since I bought that new pair of shoes, I've been suffering. At first, they looked amazing, elegant and perfect for any occasion. But I had no idea that beneath their stylish appearance lay an unbearable pain. Every time I wore them, my feet felt trapped, as if I were walking on thorns. With every step, the pain grew worse. One day, I was about to head out for an important meeting. I looked at the shoes as if challenging myself. I'll wear them despite the pain, they won't affect me, I told myself. But as soon as I stepped outside, the pain crept in again. I tried to ignore it, but halfway through the journey, I just couldn't bear it anymore. I stopped, sat on a bench by either road, and took off the shoes. I let out a sigh of relief. At that moment, I realized that, like many people, I sometimes endure things that hurt me just because they look good or because I'm afraid of letting them go. I walked back home with my shoes in hand. It was both funny and absurd. If anyone had seen me carrying them while walking as if I were dancing, they would have been puzzled. But at that moment, I made a decision. I would never let anything, no matter how attractive, make my life uncomfortable again.
11. A taxi driver telling people the stories of his life.
One day, I took a taxi on my way to the Middle East roundabout. The day seemed ordinary, and I didn't expect that getting into this car would be the start of an unforgettable story. As soon as I sat in the back seat and told the driver my destination, he began talking, as if an inner engine was pushing him to share his life story. At first, I listened half-heartedly, thinking he would only speak a few words. But he was different from any other driver. He talked about everything, his childhood, his adventures in his youth, and how he had dreamed of becoming something other than a taxi driver. He shared with me the challenges of his life and how fate had led him to this job. He had an amazing ability to narrate, as if every event in his life was a scene from a dramatic film filled with events. His stories were full of sadness, joy, failures, and triumphs. Every now and then, I found myself smiling or feeling sad with him. By the time we reached my destination, I didn't want to get out of the car. The story was just too captivating. Before I left, he said to me, "I tell my stories because I don't want my life to pass without anyone hearing it. Everyone has a story, but not everyone gets the chance to tell it." I stepped out of the taxi, reflecting on his words. He realized that everyone we encounter in life carries a story worth telling, and that some stories aren't meant to be told because they don't mean anything to others. Sometimes, we might be the listeners that others need to leave a mark on us.
12. The poor tea seller.
It was a cold morning when I stood at the corner near the Sports City roundabout, waiting for my usual bus to go to Tab Arbor. The city was bustling with activity, as it always is every morning, people heading to their work, and cars filling the streets with their noisy horns. But amidst all the noise, a simple, calm voice caught my attention. "Hot tea, hot tea." He turned to see a tea seller sitting on a small chair next to his cart. He looked poor, his clothes were old and simple, but there was a strange spark in his eyes. He approached him, greeted him, and ordered a cup of tea. He quickly handed it to me as if he were preparing to welcome another customer. "With the first sip of the hot tea," I asked him, "it seems your day started early?" He replied, "Yes, my day starts with the sunrise." La Iblige doente wait. That phrase sparked a long conversation. Over the following days, I would stop by every morning to buy a cup of tea and listen to his stories. The tea seller wasn't just an ordinary vendor, he was a man full of wisdom. He shared stories about his life and how he had worked in other fields before ending up as a tea seller. He never complained about his situation, instead, he was grateful for every experience he had gone through. One day he told me, "Poverty is not the end of life, it's just a challenge. What matters most is staying true to yourself and to others." He learned a lot from him. Every morning, he gave me a new lesson, not only about life but also about humanity and the inner strength each of us possesses. He smiled despite his tough circumstances and kept working hard, believing that sustenance comes with effort and patience. One day, I asked him, "How can you be happy despite all this?" He looked at me and said, "Happiness isn't in money or possessions. It's in being content with what you have, in the smile you give to others, and in believing that tomorrow will be better." My story with the porty seller wasn't just a fleeting encounter, it was a lesson that taught me that the true value of a person lies not in what they own, but in how they face their circumstances and in their contentment with what they have, no matter how simple it may be.
13. The blind teacher.
I never expected that meeting her would change my life. It was in 2008, and I was living an ordinary life. I would wake up every morning, go to work, and return in the evening exhausted. Life was going on as usual, with no noteworthy surprises, until one day when a friend asked me to help his blind neighbor organize a classroom to teach poor girls on the ground floor of her father's old house. At the time, I worked in billboard lettering and interior decoration. I never turned down a request from a friend, so I agreed without hesitation. I thought the task would be simple, perhaps just an hour or two of my day, but I didn't realize that I was about to embark on an experience I would never forget. When I entered her home for the first time, I felt something different. It wasn't like any ordinary house. Everything was arranged with precision, and it felt as though she knew the place in all its details, despite her inability to see. She observed me calmly, waiting for me with a gentle smile. She said, "Hello." I responded cautiously, "Hello, I'm here to help you with whatever you need." She smiled as though she could see me perfectly. We sat and talked about the classroom and its purpose, then she told me about her life, her childhood stories, how she faced life with a spirit full of hope and optimism, and how she became a professor of physics and mathematics despite being blind. I was amazed at how someone who had never seen the world could be so optimistic. She viewed life from a different perspective, as though her blindness had given her a deeper insight than those who could see. She said that the eye is not what allows us to see, but the heart is what truly perceives. Time passed as I exchanged words with her, deeply engrossed in her conversation and her unwavering optimism. That's when I began to see life through her eyes. She didn't need anyone to guide or assist her, she felt that she was capable of helping anyone in any way she could. In my encounter with her, she taught me how to appreciate the small things in life, how to enjoy every moment, and how happiness isn't in what we see, but in what we feel. I learned from her that sight is not what allows us to see the world around us, but the heart and mind are the true keys to seeing life clearly.
14. A letter from a stranger.
It was in the final weeks of completing this book that I received a message without greeting or permission. It began with, "Is that you?" I replied, "Yes," and the sender called me Abu al-Kutub, father of books. He said, "You're a book author and a philosopher," referring to my novel The Gold Well. I was taken aback and wondered, has the author, the writer, the person who writes stories from his life or a real novel that happened throughout the years of his life, become someone who is now a philosopher? I replied, "And what does the novel stir in you?" He responded, "Neither your novel nor you stir me." But he wanted to make me feel that what I do, turning stories from my life into novels, was wrong, and he wanted to make me feel the immense ignorance that many people have reached in these days. I didn't know who the sender was, as they used a pseudonym. Little did he know that my novel, before its official release, had been shared with a large group of friends and acquaintances who are readers and book lovers, some of whom are professors at Yarmouk University and the University of Jordan, and all of whom I trust. They corrected many of my mistakes and discussed various aspects with me. I wasn't bothered by either criticism of my personality or the criticism of the stories in the novel. What bothered me, however, was that an ignorant person was criticizing someone who is educated, an ignorant person was criticizing a teacher, and an ignorant person was criticizing a university professor who has graduated more than 10,000 students throughout his career in education, teaching, and higher education. The sender didn't stop at calling me a philosopher, but he also kept referring to me as Abu al-Kutub between each message. What he didn't know was that I had sought this title for many years. He didn't understand the beauty of that title to me, nor did he know that what is placed in the books is a message for him, for me, for my children, And for those around us who need such stories to motivate them to strive and achieve what we could from knowledge. I am not bothered by criticism, even if it is unconstructive, but my heart tightens when I realize that the person who attacked me with his messages and words in this way might be younger than my children. For when we attack someone from behind a curtain, we must consider that the person we are attacking could be the same age as our parents, and none of us would want our children to attack anyone or speak ill of them.
15. The ticking clock on my first night abroad.
The night had drawn its curtain, and everything around me was engulfed in silence. No sound, no movement, only the darkness that filled the room. I sat in my bed, trying to sleep, but my mind was restless, flooded with thoughts that refused to quiet down. Suddenly, I began to hear a faint sound, the ticking of the clock hanging on the wall. At first, it seemed ordinary, just a reminder of time passing. But with every tick, I started to feel as if time itself was moving unbearably slow, as if each second carried the weight of hours. Tick, tick, tick. Every tick reminded me of something, a missed appointment, a postponed dream, something I should have done but never did. As the night stretched on, those ticking sounds became more painful, more than just a noise. They felt like an inner voice reminding me that life waits for no one. Time moves forward, whether we are ready or not. And while I was surrounded by silence, my mind was battling against time, against those fleeting seconds that would never return. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay awake, listening to the ticking of the clock, reflecting on every moment that had passed without being fully lived. And in those moments, I decided to approach time differently, to not let those ticks pass without doing something meaningful, something worth remembering. When the sun finally rose, I realized that the night and its ticking had given me a lesson. Time is the most valuable thing we have, and we must make the most of it before those ticks fade into a silence that lasts forever.
16. My story with the alarm clock.
On a cold morning, while I was deep in sleep, the alarm suddenly rang. Well, not suddenly, it went off exactly when I had set it the night before. Each sound was sharp and annoying, as if it were trying to wake an entire city, not just one person. Lastly, I reached out toward the bedside table, searching for the stop button. But strangely, for the first time, I didn't hit the snooze button. I stared at the alarm for a moment and asked myself, why do I always surrender to this sound? Every time I postponed waking up, I was also postponing facing the world, work, and challenges. The alarm wasn't just a device waking me from sleep, it was a daily battle with myself, between what I wanted to achieve and what I was trying to avoid. That day, I decided to change my habit. I sat up in bed, opened the window, and took in the crisp morning air. I could feel the shift that would happen if I started facing the alarm with responsibility, just as I should face life itself. The alarm was no longer my enemy, it became my partner in the journey of each new morning, pushing me toward a day where I could pursue my goals.
17. My cold coffee.
It was an ordinary morning, just like every other. I woke up slowly to the familiar aroma of coffee, a ritual I performed every day. That morning moment I reserved for myself, where my cup of coffee sat before me, giving me the feeling that today might be different. I prepared the coffee carefully, as if painting a fresh start. But, as always, my mind began to fill with thoughts, unfinished tasks, calls to make, never-ending family matters. I sat at the table, looking at the cup before me, but my mind was elsewhere. Time slipped away unnoticed, and I became engrossed in the details of my day before I could enjoy the moment I had been waiting for. When I finally reached for the cup, I found that the coffee had gone cold. That moment, which I had imagined to be refreshing and full of energy, had turned into something ordinary, lifeless, even. I stared at the scene before me and realized that the cold coffee was nothing but a reflection of my own life, constant busyness, postponing the simple joys, always running after the never-ending demands of work. But perhaps coffee isn't the only thing that cools when we neglect it. Our lives, though, can lose their warmth and beauty if we forget to truly love them. Our small moments shape our days, and if we fail to cherish them, we may find ourselves living days as cold as that untouched coffee.
18. This is where our relationship ends. Ali's farewell to Jamil.
After long hours of work on a tiring and eventful day at a media organization with over 80 employees, the clock was nearing 7 de la tarde. Our colleague Ali, from Iraq, came to inform us that he had accepted his resignation and was leaving the company. Among us, he had a close friend, the well-known Yemeni journalist, Hamid Mohsin. Ali wanted to bid farewell to Jamil in his own way. He took out his phone and embraced him from the side. Playfully and lovingly, Ali began recording the farewell moments, saying with a smile that carried a hint of teasing, "This is where our relationship ends, Jamil." Jamil laughed and responded with a warm hug, though his eyes carried a sad glimmer that he couldn't hide. Ali left, and our working hours ended. We all went home, but late that night, we received an email, a message of mourning with a shocking and painful content. Jamil had passed away. He died in a car accident during his road trip from the UAE to Yemen via the city of Al Ain, then Oman, and onto his beloved Aden, as he always called it. He was driving his new car, which he had bought as a gift for his son. But he never completed the journey and never reached his son, who was eagerly waiting, nor did he reach Aden, the place he longed for. Fate didn't allow Jamil to complete his journey. When we received the news, time seemed to stop for a moment. In my mind, memories of his farewell to Ali rushed back, the spontaneous snapshots that were taken without any of us knowing that these would be the last moments we would have with Jamil. How sincere and simple that farewell was, yet it carried a deep lesson. We never know when our last meeting will be, and we never realize how many precious moments will turn into memories, as fate can turn the tables in the blink of an eye. That moment of Ali's farewell to Jamil, which we thought was a passing moment, became a profound memory and an unforgettable lesson. How often do we neglect the value of farewells in the hustle and bustle of life, dismissing them as mere daily details, when they could be our last encounter with someone we love? It was then that I realized that every meeting carries the possibility of parting, and that we should not delay words of love and appreciation, nor should we underestimate moments of hugs and smiles. Life is short, fate is uncertain, and sometimes fate writes our final goodbye without us even realizing it.
The conclusion of the book.
We wish for many things in our lives, some of which we may realize and some we may not. The sky rains, and we wear our coats, perhaps carrying our bags and traveling with the rain when it brings us life from the sky, to water the earth, every thirsty being, every creature, and everyone in the burrows. We eat from what God has spread in life and from what He has allocated to each one of us from its sweetness, bitterness, sourness, and saltiness. We only get what has been destined for us, and we will not face a fate except that it was written for us before we came to this earth, so there is no fear for sustenance, provision, rest, or health, as He is the one who arranges it. We walk in its paths, we strive individually and collectively, building homes that shelter us from its cold, shade us from its heat, and cover our nakedness. We light our way through its nights with what we have from lamps, light, and torches. Whenever its rain intensifies, we remember that there are those who await it and see in it sustenance for them, so we pray to God that it may be good for us and for all those who anticipate and wait. The greatest lesson in our lives is that every good we offer will one day be repaid by someone. It is a division that preserves rights, so there is no fear in doing something for someone without return. In mending hearts, there is joy, prayer, and perhaps the fulfillment of a matter that had been difficult for a weak one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening.
Wait for us in upcoming works. Best regards, Hussam Bashayereh.
Goodbye.